This is the Sean Yankee Show.
And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack.
This episode of the Sean Yankee Show is being brought to you by the support of viewers like me. We realize the importance of independent media and truth in this time of mass deceit and propaganda. We have decided to fight for and support it to keep it alive. You can help us in this fight for truth. Contribute at patreon.com/Sean Yankee. Thanks for coming to the show. It'll begin soon.
Hey, everybody, get in here. It is time for the week in review. I'm Sean, and what we're going to do is we're going to watch back highlights, clips from all of the episodes this past week of the Sean Yankee Show, ending with our guest, Furious George, better known as Ty Nightfall. I know him as Ty, but he was Furious George this time. But we're going to end with that, but we're going to go all the way through the week. We're going to start with Monday, watch clips from that, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Ty. So it's going to be great. We're going to hang out. I'm going to peep out with you and watch it, and I'm going to break in from time to time. And if something comes up or if there's a reason to break in, I'll be coming back because I'm here with you. But let me say hi to everybody and get the conversation started, because I'm going to be hanging out with you guys tonight. This is one of my favorite nights because I get to peep out the entire time with you guys. But hey, Lolly got first. Hey, Helen, Joan, Lee's here, Dolores. Good to see you. Good to see some people coming in. But yeah, what this is we're going to watch the highlights of the week. So this is a great opportunity to invite someone to get a vibe of what the show is like. And these are good to share out, to promote the show and help people see what we have here. So sharing is caring. Ron is right. And also smash those bubbles, those buttons on Facebook. They have like 12 of them and you can play them like a piano. Smash them shits because that helps us get out and do better in the algorithm. But like I said, I'm going to be here with you, but we're going to watch clips from this whole past week. And we're going to end off with the interview with Ty. And it's called Week in Review. And it's a good way to get the word of the show out. That's what we do this for. Plus, I love hanging out with you guys and getting to watch with you. So Carrie's come in. Good to see you. Gwendolyn and Tammy. All right. And I see people are tagging people. That's good. I appreciate that. Yes. Smash them shits on every platform. Whether you're here on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, hit the like. Make sure you do that. That really does help us. And it's a real small gesture. It's something real easy to do. You got Northern Lights and an AK-47 hybrid? Man, I don't even know what I'm smoking on. It's no name, but my pipes are full again. As you know, I had empty pipes, which is terrible. Nobody that works 40 hours a week should ever have to scrape resin to get high. That's just no way to get by. I even tried. No, it was awful. But now they're full again. The jar is full again. So I am I don't know what the name of it is. I want to go out to the dispensary and get me some fancy weed. I have become quite a cannabis snob. So I do want to go treat myself. And I've been thinking about it, but it's quite a drive all the way out there. You know, I let my medical card lapse here in Missouri. I got to renew it because I didn't know that you had to jump back through all the damn hoops again. I didn't know you had to go to the doctor again, get another diagnosis, all of that. I thought you just had to renew your license. So I got to do all that stuff again to get my medical card back here in the state of Missouri. So Illinois is the closest for me. Michael's on that Venom or OG. All right. We do need to hit Rise. Yes. Road trip. I'm telling you, it's time. I need to get me a treat. Gwendolyn smoking Girl Scout cookies. Well, looks like we're all ready for the show. I'm ready to smoke with you guys and hang out. Look, I'll make sure I get that going today. What I've done is I've gotten myself way too busy, but it keeps me out of trouble. I have way too much going on, too many balls in the air, and I completely forgot about it, but I will take care of that. Hey, Lisa, I love that you're representing Kentucky. I grew up in Kentucky. From age 6 to 18, I lived in Kentucky. Ron's on granny panties. All right. I got to name mine. I got to give it a name. You know what I'll do? After this first smoke, I'll pick a name for it. We'll name it. I can't have no name weed. That's just not even okay. I want to live in a van down by the river. You know how that used to be something that you would worry about. Now it seems beautiful. You seen these pictures of people that live in their vans and just travel? Man, that looks nice. That's probably what me and Babels will do. Once the shit hits the fan and we go rogue, because as you know, she wants to be wandering badasses. That's what she thinks we're going to do. So I'm ready. I'm ready for some Mad Max type shit. But if you guys are ready, we're going to start this off because we got quite a week in review to get through. And we're going to start off with Monday. And I am going to come into the comment section with you guys and hang out. So this is the week in review of the Sean Yankee Show this past week. We're going to check this out, and I will be back and break in. And I'm also going to go to the other platforms, YouTube and Twitch, and check in with you guys as well. But here we go. Let's start the week in review. I think a lot of us have loved ones that are affected. And I do think that she's right. I think it is from this poison that they're putting in us in all forms, not just through jabs, through everything they're doing. They're poisoning us. They're eliminating us. They're trying to sterilize us. They want to wipe us out. They want to cut our numbers because they don't think they're the problem. They think we are. There's too many of us. They see us as parasites. They don't want us around. And we're talking about a small percentage of people that have an unbelievable amount of power through illusionary means. It could all be taken away, pulled out from underneath of them in an instant if we would stand united together against it. If we would realize that we have common enemies that seek to destroy us, if not stopped. Hey, Dolores. Good to see you. All right, well, we're going to look through some of them other stories that I was talking about. And I want to show you a few things. But while we're doing that, like I said, I won't be able to see the comments. So I'm not ignoring you. Please still participate and take part in the show, and smash those like buttons over on Facebook and share this out. Get this out. Share it to someplace new, someplace that you've never shared it before. And we're going to get started with some more stories here that I want to show you. They're saying now that COVID-19 cases have dropped in the U.S. They've hit their lowest level since October. And they're not saying it's because of the jab. Actually, they're saying it's not because of the jab, that it's too early for it to be because of the jab. They didn't really give a good reason. They don't know. I do. I know. If I'm in the back of the classroom, my hand is up and I'm shaking it, hoping the teacher calls on me. Donald Trump is no longer president. It's that we have a new president. Joe Biden is president, and the numbers are going to come down because they want to make Joe Biden look good. And they wanted to make Trump look bad with the inflated numbers. They didn't even start talking about the test being faulty till after Trump left office. CNN immediately stopped tracking COVID death toll right when Biden took office. The media stopped focusing on death tolls and started focusing more on what Biden was going to do to save us all. And the inflated numbers are dropping because they're refining the testing because they no longer need it. They no longer need to drive fear and try to make you think that Trump is incompetent in his handling of the disease, the virus. And they want you to believe that Biden is doing a fantastic job. And even though they're saying outright has nothing to do with the jab, people won't listen to that. They'll see that the total numbers are falling. They equate that with the jab. I've seen it. And they'll go get a jab. It's an advertisement for the jab. Even if they tell you it has nothing to do with it, it doesn't matter, because they've outright told you that the vaccine doesn't even prevent you getting the virus. In fact, people are coming down with it after getting it. And they've outright told you this. People are still lining up for it because they don't listen. And that's what people like Gates and all these people count on, is you don't pay attention. Because he's outright told you he wants to wipe you out. Outright said it on multiple occasions. Laughs about it. Thinks it's funny. But he says that we're heading for a new pandemic. I take him at his word. I would take him at his word. The next thing they're going to try to scare you to death about is going to be climate change. Not saying there won't be another virus. Of course there will. It's his other big agenda. But it looks like they're going to try to scare you to death about climate change again. They're going to start changing the narrative. And they're talking about the same things for this. Lockdowns, social distancing, even masking. All of this shit they're talking about continuing, but in the name of climate change instead of virus. Not that they don't want you to still be terrified of the virus. I think that will be the invisible terrorism moving forward. But I do like that they seem to at least be sacrificing Governor Cuomo, although he's not the only governor that stocked up nursing homes with sick people. They did it here in Missouri. I'm sure they did it many other places. Any of these people in places and positions of authority that did this to these vulnerable people living in these care facilities needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Every single one. Everyone that was responsible in any way. This is criminal. These people don't deserve this. You put the most at-risk group directly in contact with the virus. And you're going to tell me that you didn't know? You didn't realize that that was a bad idea? That's bullshit. I don't believe you. And I don't know why you did it, but it's criminal. and you need to be punished. You need to face repercussions. It doesn't need to be a slap on the wrist or a shaming in the media. It needs to be real justice against those that are really responsible. This is a story that is a good and bad news story. Social media platform Parlay has relaunched after being axed by big tech following the Capitol riots. I actually think they got shut down. Didn't they get shut down before? Or was it after? Whatever, it doesn't matter. They got shut down and pulled off the streaming platforms, and now they've been allowed to relaunch, but none of the posts are there. You still have your followers, but everything's gone. It's a complete wipe. And I'm telling you, I don't care what they say, it won't be the same. And if they took it down once, they could take it down again. So I think it's dead. I think that was its death toll, no matter what. You know, I know that I won't be going back. But I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying I don't see it as a good news story. I see it as it's no longer a threat and they let you have it back. If it ever became a threat again, they would just as quickly take it away. But they're building their own social media empire. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, is starting a social media app called Clubhouse, but it's invite only. And for investors, it looks like he's courting Vladimir Putin. But yeah, you got to be invited to be a part of this Clubhouse. But I don't know. The richest man in the world, who seems to be part of the big club that we're all not in, starting a social media company. It's invitation only and courting Vladimir Putin to be an investor. That's odd. I made that the last story because I want to talk to you about it. I want to know what you think about this invitation-only social media platform that Elon Musk has started up. But those are the other stories that I picked out to look through with you. I thought it was going to take a little longer than that, but I miss you guys. I think that's what it is. Chris asked, is this buffering or is it just my phone? Could be both. I'll let others answer that for you. But if you're having problems, usually if you leave and come back, it'll fix it, no matter what it is. But Catherine, you're right. The nighttime is the right time. Every day at 8 p.m. Eastern for the Sean Yankee Show. Monday through Friday, new episodes every night. And if you just still can't get enough, head to theSeanYankeeShow.com. Please do that anyway. After the show, run there and check it out. That's our website. That will eventually be our new home. We will be streaming directly to the website once we get enough support and are able to afford it to make that move. So that's in the future. But right now, there's good content and stuff that I've put out there and written for you guys. So go check something out. Give it a like and a share. Let me see. Carrie says Cuomo should be criminally investigated and face a grand jury for his nursing home actions. And I'm sure if he was investigated, they would find much more than this. But just this, he needs to be held responsible to the fullest extent of the law. There's no reason why he should get away with this scot-free. Being shamed in the media is not enough. Even political repercussions are not enough. He needs to face criminal charges. Top fan in house. Top fan in house. Come back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Morning Yank, hosted by me and top fan Paul Jones. We will be discussing current events and news and all kinds of things from a aware perspective. I'm trying to get away from saying woke, even though I like the term a morning show for the woke. It's catchy as hell, but I don't like the word woke. I don't like how the indoctrinated masses have taken it over. And they think like being behind Black Lives Matter means you're woke. Being in support of Antifa means you're woke. You know, shit like that. So I hate that they ruined that word. I'm still going to use it. That's a damn good catchphrase. Riley says they will inoculate you from chromosome 8. This is the chromosome responsible for intellect, fertility, and cancers. I give these people approximately 4 years of life. Those that got the jab. See, I never really thought that they would be that aggressive. Maybe you're right. I'm not saying you're not. But I never thought they'd be that aggressive. I thought it would be more slow and more of a sterilization rather, process that would take generations to take effect. Oh, thank you. Kathy's already a supporter on Patreon, but she says she's going to raise her contribution. That's amazing. Thank you for that. Because, yeah, where we're heading is things are getting more expensive. To stream to the website, for instance, is $160 a month. But it's going to allow for a lot more. I think we'll even get out to more people, honestly. But it is down the road. Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, are you talking about Parlay? You could be talking about just about anything. They take over just about everything. And I know they don't. They'll sell him out, and he'll get a book deal and a job as a contributor to CNN. That'll be his slap on the wrist. And they'll sleep at night feeling like they did something, even though it was only superficial and didn't matter. He'll get a nice payout too. Yeah, right. I know. It sucks. They're a bunch of assholes is what they are. You know, Yuli says they managed to trivialize every movement by taking over the catchphrases and marketing them. And then they flip it upside down and make it mean the opposite of what it means. Like Black Lives Matter may have originally started out as an organization in the interest of embedding or empowering the Black community and bringing awareness to the injustices. That's just not what it is anymore. Lee says for him, Parlay is still down. I haven't even tried to get on mine. Like I said, I don't think I'll be back to it. And as far as they go, Chris, you're right. Fuck them. Fouquet them. You know you're not allowed to say that word on YouTube. I haven't got a hit for it yet, and I say it a lot. So they must not really crack down. But when they start, I'm going to get it big time. I got a hit on Facebook today from a post from 2017 for hate speech. It was a Hitler meme. But it's 4 years old. I imagine there'll be more of those to come as they eliminate all political speech on Facebook. Yuli said it started organically and was taken over right away. Black Lives Matter.
They do this all the time, dude. If you remember 2 years ago in Detroit, in the middle of February, they shut off people's electric and water. They shut off all their utilities, a whole fucking city, and said because the city and the federal tax revenues weren't paying for it. So I guess the city owed the water companies like millions of dollars. And finally, the water companies and the fucking electric company, DTE, got together and they fucking shut everybody down at the same time. That's fucking, you're killing so many people doing that shit. And they do that a lot in the suburbs. They'll have their rolling brownouts in Detroit. They won't have them in the white neighborhoods and shit. They won't have them out here where I'm at in the country. But you can guarantee out in fucking Inkster, Taylor, Detroit, they have these fucking rolling brownouts in the middle of the hottest time of the summer. And if you're on oxygen, if you're on any kind of fucking health assistance machine, it's shutting it down.
What is a brownout?
A brownout is when they only give you enough power to run one fan in your entire house.
For how long?
Hours at a time sometimes. It depends. Like right now, Texas, that's what Texas is doing right now. Those are called rolling brownouts. They're shutting down certain areas. They're doing rolling blackouts. The blackouts are total fucking shutdown. Brownout is they give you 10% of your energy each home. But it's the same thing they're doing in Texas right now. They've been doing this shit for years. Trying to get rid of seniors. These seniors ain't having it. They're living through it. They're like, fuck you. Just to fucking piss them off.
Well, they're out in the open about it, I feel. They lie out of one side of their mouth, and the truth is always right there in their actions, what they actually do. And it's disgusting. And it did happen all over the country. Why aren't we hearing more about why are they acting like Cuomo's the only one? That's what bugs me when I hear about it. This happened everywhere.
What was it? Your state? Remember Chicago? Lori Lightfoot.
I think Jones said they did it in Pennsylvania as well.
Yep. All of a sudden, Lori Lightfoot in Chicago changing her tune.
So they just pick one of them and then crucify that one because he had already kind of messed up already. He was already kind of on their shit list, wasn't he?
Well, from
just throw him completely under the bus, act like it was just him and only those 1,500 people. Don't turn in your national figures from how you pulled that shit all over the country.
Well, the Fox is saying that, and I agree with you, but Fox is saying that the reason why they're going after him only is because he got it first. His state got it first, and everybody else was watching him to see what he was going to do so they would follow his suit. And that's what Fox was saying. Fox
so
said,
they're not responsible because of a follow the leader clause or something?
I guess that's what Fox is saying. But as if they weren't all in on the same conference calls, as if they weren't all being told, hey, if the more motherfuckers die, how bad do you think Trump's going to look? Let's be honest.
It does look like Beetlejuice, Ron. You're right.
She does.
She's freaky looking. I hate to say that. It's mean, but
she doesn't look anything like she looked like 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, when she ran for office, she had long hair and makeup and nails and all that shit, and she looked halfway decent. And then politics got her.
She's afraid from the bullshit.
I don't even think she's as extreme as she tries to be. I think she got caught up in the bullshit because if you see, she's literally opening up her fucking city. She's opening up her schools. She told the fucking teachers, "You don't come in, don't get paid. We're opening the schools. Fuck the union. We're opening the schools." And she said, as the schools go, so does everything else. So if we open in schools, we're going to have to open up entertainment industry. We're going to have to open up restaurant industry. We're going to have to open them up because we opened up the schools, but we have to open up the schools first. And I'm like, yeah. And then a minute later, I'm like, wait a minute. That's that fucking, I'm supposed to not like her. So I think a lot of these people.
There's other reasons to not like her.
Oh, there's a ton. But I'm sure these people fucking get caught up in it, in the whirlwind. And a lot of times they're out of office before they even realize that they've been had, But right. She ain't having it. She's literally like, open the fucking schools so we can open society. Do it now or don't get paid.
Well, I hope more people stand up and put a stop to it. That's all it will.
It's going to have to be people like her, the mayors, the city councilmen. It ain't going to be the governors. The governors are too deep in the swamp.
Yeah. So that's where you should put your pressure, you think, is on your local leadership to end this bullshit?
Ron, put what Ron just set up on the screen. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. Do homeschooling if you can. Now, I suggest homeschooling. I'm just telling you what she said about opening, the city of Chicago. But yeah, I would rather do homeschooling 10 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And for exactly the reasons that fucking Ron's saying right there. Everything is bullshit. Columbus wasn't the first settler here. Why did he get here and Squanto was already speaking English? The fuck? I mean, use your fucking
I have
heads.
problems all the time trying to help my kids with their homework because I don't remember what the lie was, what the manufacturer history was. In time I've learned what really took place. So they'll ask me about something and I'll be like, I can't remember what your teacher's going to want to hear.
Yep, and Riley's right too.
What about Lightfoot is mad?
Yep.
People aren't enrolling your children in school. The state is losing lots of money.
Yep. Losing cash, big cash. They're losing cash from the entertainment industry too. Look at all the tax monies that people pay just in entertainment money. We call it sin tax: cigarettes, booze, ammunition, guns. We call it a sin tax. All these things get taxed. And it's fucking a lot of money that they're not getting in.
Yeah.
It's not just the business owners.
They lose money in funding based on attendance.
And, the bigwigs rely on like Apple and fucking Microsoft, things like that. Like all these different diversities. They have millions around the fucking world, right? But the fucking mayors and the city councilmen, they don't. So the people that are in their pockets are usually local businesses, the trash companies, things like that. So when these people ain't making their money, they're coming to her, and they're like, "Look, bitch, we ain't getting our money, and this ain't right. We're literally millions of dollars in revenue not coming in, and it's not just tax money coming in; it's also the people that got her elected because." When these people donate to your campaign, they expect something in return. They're not giving you fucking millions of dollars because they think you're a fucking cool, swell guy.
Really?
I know, right?
Man, what if you just want to believe they just really like you a lot?
Like they just think I'm cool.
Yeah.
They think I'm cool.
They just really, really like me. That's all. They don't want anything.
I mean,
pharmaceutical companies just love putting money in my pocket.
And they're all dirty. Even the ones that I'm talking about, the lower level ones, it's just levels of dirt,
Yeah. Well, power corrupts.
So now they're infighting. You got millionaire fucking in the closet dark fucking companies that are going after these millionaire fucking companies that are on your TV every day. And they're infighting. There's a lot of infighting that's going on right now, I've noticed, in politics. And it's fucking great. That's why it's entertainment. I call it entertainment. I call it what it is.
It's for the theater of it. I've kind of like turned my whole attention away from it. I pay attention a little bit just to see what's going on, what's happening, but it's ridiculous at this point. Like you were saying,
it's theater. It's all theater.
It's funny, and I think it's sad.
There's nothing you can do about it. It's there. It's always going to be there. But you can watch from afar though, and watch it like a movie. You can hope for good things to happen. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with hope. Hope is awesome. I hope every day for some shit to happen to these people. So, when I watch them square them and I see Cuomo up there trying to explain where half his fucking state's deaths came from, it's fucking great. Even though he's full of shit, you watch him squirm and he's stumbling all over his words and shit. He's singing. He's like a kid when a kid doesn't get their way and you're like, why? And he's out there singing his fucking dialogue. I'm loving it. Same with the newscasters. They're all singing their dialogue. They can't believe what's happening right now. There's a lot of shit going on right now that's behind the scenes. A lot of shit. Like especially with that impeachment. And then you have the stimulus check. Now you got Biden and Bernie, who is the head of the budget committee. So now that Bernie's head of the budget committee, I'm pretty sure billionaires are being taxed 89%, like he said he would, right? But
sure.
But anyways, but that's beside the point. So him and Biden are going at back and forth now on that $15 an hour thing. So Biden doesn't want to. He don't want to raise it a penny. He don't want that as part of the bill, as part of the stimulus bill. He says we can talk about.
Oh, they're trying to put that in the stimulus bill. Why they always got to try to tack extra shit? Just give me my $2,000 you told me I was going to get, and don't give anybody else any money.
He says, okay, so this
could be like an inch thick bill.
This is an eye opener. The new drafted bill, which is probably going to get passed, is you get your $1,400 check. They extend unemployment until August 29th, and they want to up to at least $400 to $600 bonus per week on the unemployment. But why would you? Okay, so you're foreshadowing some shit ahead, and literally, the CARES Act does not allow unemployment agencies to turn anybody down. Every applicant gets paid. So why would you extend it till the 29th, August 29th? What are you looking at? What do you know? And what are we in for?
Yeah. Dark winter.
Those are the things I look at when it comes to politics. I look at the numbers and the stats, and everything else is bullshit. You can watch the news and you might get 30 seconds of real shit, and the rest is just opinionated bullshit.
Right. But you're right. They're going to sprinkle some real shit because they got to fill a whole 24-hour segment, and they don't always get the narrative on time. Yep. No, he's right. That's what they're going to try to do. That's what these are for. These stimulus checks is to get you used to this.
It's to draw us in,
Yeah. Flirting with the UBI and making you dependent on the system and shutting down the economy at the same time.
The trail of chocolates to the bedroom before we get fucked.
Well, it's about time they at least kissed us.
Oh, shit.
But something bad's coming. They know something's bad's coming when they're giving you a little foreplay.
Yeah. Well, their millionaire friends are always going to want entertainment. So I think bowling alleys are good. I think they'll always be part of entertainment. Every bowling alley I've ever worked at, they get a lot of fucking football players, celebrities, millionaires and shit go in there and hang out and have fun. It's a place for everybody to go. And they're all over the country. As long as I can flip a wrench, turn wrenches, somebody's got to build something.
Right. Well, it's getting tough. Ron says, look and pay attention to the movies coming out. You can see it once you know what you're looking for. They're preparing and programming us.
Always. They always
Absolutely.
do. Ahead of time. You listen to the phrases that get repeated over and over again by different people through commercials and everything, and you start to realize that they're programming us for something ahead. They're just so fucking dumb that
Pelosi said she would step down if Trump won.
Oh, yeah, if he got acquitted.
If he got acquitted, she said she would step down.
Yeah, now she's talking about firing everybody.
Why isn't she stepping down?
I don't know.
That's not right. They should hold her to her word.
They always live by their word. I don't get it.
Yeah. What about all the ones, remember all those celebrities that were saying they were going to move out of the country if Trump became president? They never did either.
No, they're just all talk. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. You haven't talked about me in a while. What about me? Look at me.
What are you smoking on there?
Fuck, I forget the name of it. It's like a strawberry flavor.
All right.
Indica.
I'm coming up on empty pipes.
I'm going to learn how to make these.
You're going to learn how to make those?
Yeah. I'll start making these. I'll be making them.
Are they complicated?
All natural product. Shouldn't be.
Right on.
Nope. I already make the FICO. So once you make your FICO to the strength you like it, then that's what you add to all your products.
Oh, okay. And that's what they make those with too?
Yeah, it's just going to be FICO, and whatever you can mix it with. It's something that'll burn, something that won't plug up the little filters and shit.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to be like a thinner oil byproduct. And that's what that is. That's an oil byproduct.
Carrie says, I really like the Sean Yankee show. Love that presentation. Be your biggest fan and build up those you love. Stumble until we find our way. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open. Believe. That's important. It's a great comment too. And thank you. I'm glad that you like this show. Tell someone about it. Bring them in. We gather every day and we have a great group here. It's a family atmosphere. I'm really proud of what we've built. And I always talk like I have a mouse in my pocket, but really I credit you guys for helping me create this. I didn't do this on my own. This happened organically. So, you know, a lot of times I'm just trying to keep it afloat. I don't even know how I did this, but it's special. And I'm just glad to have you guys and be a part of this. It's really neat to me. But yeah, I love that one. And we haven't played it in a while. I've kind of gotten away from making the new ones because I'm trying to figure out music and licensing. I get a copyright strike on almost every one of those, and I make that music. I create that music on a music maker app. It's not even that great. I don't know why they copyright strike me. They get overturned every time, but people can tell you every video gets a copyright strike, and then I'll challenge it and it'll get overturned. But the live gets pulled every time. It's weird. But not when I replay them, just when I play them the first time. I guess once I've challenged it, they don't hit me again. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird. You know, Zuckerbuck's not here to defend himself, but it's shitty stuff you do over there, Zuck. I don't like you for that. You're funny, but I don't like your practices over there. It could be. It could be. Look, they're doing weird stuff. I got hit again from like a 3-year-old post. I'm sure they'll throw me in Facebook jail soon for older things that I've posted. They're apparently not just scrubbing political speech and dissent, anything that they don't like from here out. They're apparently scrubbing it from their history. So I'm getting hit for old posts. That's probably happened to a lot of you guys, but it's dying. And this is what it's going to look like pretty soon. You won't even be able to share pictures of your cat and your dinner. They'll eliminate that as well. It'll only be establishment programming. Oh, thank you, Lisa. See, I'm telling you, that's how we get out. That's the best way anyway. People telling their friends and spreading it through word of mouth. You know? They allowed it then, but not now, right? Right. Yeah. Why? Why? It's weird. It's kind of like the COVID numbers that are dropping like a stone. I'm not even exaggerating. I'll show you. Not even exaggerating. Where's it at? Here we go. That's the U.S. daily COVID cases. This is from COVID daily tracking or whatever that says. It's from an official source. I'm not finding this from the COVID daily tracking project. Look at that. Like a stone since January 20th. Or right around there. January 10th, it looks like it started dropping. January 11th. Boom. Like a stone. But yet they're still telling you need to be terrified, you need to be masked up, and everybody needs to be closed and locked down. Look what a new president does to COVID. That's it. That's all. They can't explain it. They can't tell you why it's dropping. They have no reason or answer. It's not the jab. They'll tell you outright it's not the jab. Look at that. That is ridiculous. Oh, it just refreshed. See, it's very accurate. But boom, look, going up, going up, going up. Fear, fear, fear. Got it. All right. Time to be okay. Get it down here. Make it look like Biden's making a difference. It's ridiculous. See how now it's right around to where it was? See, it was probably never. This was all manufactured. This was probably where it really was. Now we're coming back to this level. It's interesting. No way. No way. Nope. And none of us in this room are. You're not putting that juice in us. And we do not consent. And that's the other good thing about this family atmosphere. We have found our people. So whatever they intend, we stand against it. That's why we work on ourselves on Tuesdays, because we are the leaders in the battle that we're in. We're in a silent war against evil. Evil forces, truly evil. And moving forward, it will be us that takes the reins. Holy shit. Lacy says she shared Mike Lindell's voter fraud video and it flagged it as nudity or serial content. Funny, where are the cam girls and pedos? That's fine, right? Oh, there's some disgusting videos that are still up on different platforms that claim that they're looking out for people's best interest. And yeah, we know that's not what they're doing. They're silencing us and suppressing and eliminating any dissent. And they have control of the executive branch again. They're pushing forward an agenda and pushing us towards their great reset through means of their dark winter. We know what they're doing, and we are the opposition to it. That's our role. So that's why we work on ourselves on Tuesdays and reinforce that we need to be the example, lead by example, show people around you why you don't consent. It's not enough to just not consent. You need to educate. Not everyone, like Paul says, leave the dead to bury the dead, plant your seeds and move on. But, you know, like for instance, there's a lady at work. Tina, if you're watching, don't get the damn jab, right? But every opportunity I get, I explain to her why. I don't just say, don't get it. I tell her why. You know, and I'm telling you, she ain't got it yet. And that's because I'm in her head. And I'm trying to protect her. Yeah, I'm not a guinea pig. I don't want it. Look, and I'm okay with you getting it if you want it. You see Jennifer Gates, Bill Gates' daughter, is trying to get everybody to believe that she got it. There ain't no way he'd let his daughter get that shit. He knows what's in it. But look, you want to get it, then that's fine. But I feel I just have a responsibility to inform you what you're doing. And then my responsibility ends. I'm not getting it. And I will inform as many people as I can why. Slay says she's pissed. My grandma told me her friend took her to get the first shot and she has to go back for the second. I told her all the reactions and deaths from it and she totally ignored me. Well, look, you informed her. You did your part. You can't save everyone. We can just do what we can. Ugh. I know it's frustrating. It's hard. That's why we have to work on ourselves in our mental state, because we can't save everyone. We can't protect them. We can try and do our best, and that's it. I knew Paul would get it. I knew it. He probably got two. I told him he could have mine, and he takes me too literal sometimes. So I just hope he's okay. It seems like he's all right. I think he's all right. So, yeah, if she got anything, Jennifer Gates got a saline injection for a photo op. That's all I would believe. There's no way I believe that Jennifer Gates got that injection. Michael Enjoy says the jab don't do nothing but destroy the human body from the inside out. Look, I get labeled harmful medical advice when I get too descriptive. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you, I see many reasons why I would not want it, and I don't want it, and I also feel there may be many other nefarious reasons why not to get it, but just what's on the surface, what they admit to. I will not let you put that in me. I'm not letting you manipulate my DNA. Any of these people that got this on camera got saline. They didn't really get it. They're not going to get it. We may get a visitor. I got a needy cat that I just noticed that the door must have been slightly ajar and she got in. She's been up my ass. I let the cats in. You know, some of them don't want to stay in. Like they try running out when the door's open, but I did my part if I let them in. But she's being real needy. She's not over here now, but she may join the show. Oh, Lee, good. Good. So Paul's still good. All right. So we can still have little Pauls, because I think that's what it's going to do. I think it's going to sterilize. That's my theory. That's a theory. Let me let you know that's my theory. But Bill Gates likes to do that. That's something that seems to be a result of his vaccine drives. According to Wikipedia, a World's Fair is a large international exhibition designed to showcase achievements of nations. These exhibitions vary in character and are held in different parts of the world at a specific site for a period of time, ranging usually from 3 to 6 months. But what if that is just what we're being told in order to hide the true history of humanity and remove and reclaim the landmarks of an entire civilization that actually dwelled and thrived in these specific locations long ago? Well, tonight on Conspiracy Theories and Chill, we're going to look at some of the early World's Fairs and see what, if anything, they have in common, what they might have really represented or even took place to hide, and whether we're being told the truth about these events at all. Let's start by looking at the world's first World Fair in 1851, which was by far the biggest event of the 19th century, and was held inside one spectacular and historically out-of-place building. The Crystal Palace that had sprung up in one of London's largest public spaces. Glittering in the sunlight, it was truly a sight to behold. The first prefabricated building of its kind. The enormous glass house incorporated 300,000 sheets of glass in the largest size then ever made. Held in position with some 24 miles of patent guttering. In just 9 months, this magnificent building had become a shining landmark on the capital's skyline. The completed building was a sight to behold, 562 meters long, 124 meters wide, and towering 30 meters high over Hyde Park. That's about 10 stories high. Most importantly, this colossal feat of engineering was finished on time. This amazing structure was supposedly built in 9 months with 19th century technology. And you could tell me it took 3 times as long to construct, and I'd still give you heavy side-eye. Just look at the intricacy and detail, and then imagine this being done with 19th century technology and horses and buggies. How did they manufacture, move, and assemble this structure at all, much less in just 9 short months? What if they didn't? What if it was actually always there? What if the World's Fairs were used as an excuse to demolish ancient architectural heritage left over from a hidden advanced society? These World's Fairs are famous for unexplained, out-of-time architecture. These massive structures are all said to have been built rapidly for the purpose of these World's Fairs and then demolished afterwards. Why would they do that? Why create such beautiful buildings just to demolish them? And what inspired these creations that all seem to come from the same society, style, and time period? For more comparison, let's move ahead a bit in time to the World's Fair of 1893 in Chicago. You were told that the city of Chicago once held the World's Columbian Exhibition to publicly celebrate Columbus discovering America. The year of it was 1893, and the Great Economic Panic was already underway. But some 27 million people, a number equal to half of the entire United States population at the time, is said to have arrived from around the world to behold 200 newly erected buildings on 600 acres of reclaimed swamp, all of which had come to fruition within 2 years of its initial planning. All of this great white city was said to be built in just 2 years. The official story is that the Great White City was built akin to a movie set. Facades were made not of stone, we are told, but a mixture of plaster, cement, and a jute fiber called staff, all of which was then painted white in order to give the Chicagoan Camelot its gleam. Apparently, 27 million people were said to have braved the frontier by boat, buggy, and train to converge upon Chicago in order to be wowed by a neoclassical city built of glue and popsicle sticks that was only made to look like the real thing. And we are expected to believe that developers and exhibitors spent 2 years building and millions upon millions of dollars investing in, which they would then just turn around and destroy. And there are absolutely no blueprints for the White City's construction, and documentation on the construction is thin. Except for a few rinky-dink shacks resembling put-up props, it doesn't seem that anything was really built here at all. And then they just destroyed it? Now let's look at the World's Fair of 1878 held in Paris, France. Just look at these buildings, the detail of them, the size, and how out of place in time they seem. Again, most of these structures were said to be built in impossibly short amounts of time, and money seemed to be no issue or concern. And again, you're seeing the same architectural and landscaping styles used. These World's Fair buildings all seem to share many characteristics. Fortunes were said to have been spent constructing all of this just for the fair, just to display it for a short time, and then demolish it. Now let's go ahead a little further to the U.S. In April 1904. St. Louis, Missouri opened its doors to the world for what was officially called the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, but was widely known as the St. Louis World's Fair. Millions of dollars had again been spent to build the 1,200-acre fairgrounds and its nearly 1,500 buildings, a huge scale that ended up delaying the opening by a year. During the 8 months the fair stayed open, it's said that nearly 20 million people paid a visit. Now on display were marvels of technology, agriculture, art, and history, and there were amusement rides and entertainment to be found in a section called the Pike. The fair introduced a huge audience to some relatively new inventions, which was common of these fairs, such as private automobiles, outdoor electric lighting, and the X-ray machine. And again, after the fair closed, nearly all of its structures were demolished within a short period of time. All of these impressive structures built for one event in the middle of the country? Why? Why build these beautiful structures complete inside and out? You could go into these buildings. They were real buildings. Why go to all of that trouble? Just look at the intricacy and detail of these structures. Consider then the time periods that we are discussing and the means that they would have had to construct them at the time, not to mention the massive expense. $1 million back then is like saying billions today. Why would so much money be invested into such extravagance just to demolish it afterwards in nearly every instance? These buildings are pieces of art. They are breathtaking, to say the least. All the way back to the very first World's Fair so far, they share this particular trait of unexplained and seemingly out of time and place structures. And in all instances, these beautifully detailed pieces of art were destroyed soon after the fairs ended. But why do these structures from different places and time periods seem to match each other so closely? Is it possible that all these different World's Fairs architecture seems to match each other for a particular reason? What if these structures were already there, and these early World Fairs were to explain these unexplainable and amazing pieces of architecture to the masses, and at the same time erase the existence of a previous advanced civilization? What if all these structures and the out-of-place structures that match these that stand to this day, what if all of these were already here? What if the World's Fairs were really held to explain away true human history in order to rewrite their own? To believe that these were all just put together as events and that such extravagance and money was just thrown around to make the impossible real is just insanity, in my opinion. No, I think it's much more likely that these structures already existed long before we settled in these lands, from a civilization whose history is being hidden from us. This has been a look into the truth of the early World's Fairs from Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and I'm sure we will be revisiting this topic very soon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with a brand new topic. You see what I mean? There's a lot more there. I really could have kept going, but I really wanted to get it done and get it out. But there's more to go. There's a whole nother world that's opening up. Just what I'm implying in that video opens up different rabbit holes. But what I'm implying, in case it didn't come across, is that that was already there. That was already there. It was their way of explaining it away and eliminating it. Yeah, exactly. Look, you're talking millions of dollars in 1850. So billions, a fortune today. It was a fortune then. It's just you don't think of it that way because you're saying millions. Think of the time period. They spent tons of money. Those buildings, the intricacy, especially in that one I showed from the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, that was the inside. You could go in these buildings, and they claim that they did this in just short periods of time, built these intricate cities. They were cities. There'd be 200 buildings, all of them that detailed. And they claim they did this in like a year, 2 years, the Chicago World's Fair. They claim they put that whole city together in 2 years. The landscaping, the waterways, bullshit. There is no way you did that with those technologies. And then the attendance, I didn't even get into that. They say that the 1853 Chicago World's Fair, or 1893 rather, sorry, Chicago World's Fair had 27 million people attended. Think about the time period you're talking about. 27 million people came to Chicago? Really? From all around the world in 1893. During a time of extreme poverty in the United States. Ridiculous poverty. Matter of fact, they trained in a lot of immigrants during the World's Fair. like I said, there were many other avenues I could have went down. These were used for many things as a distraction for many other things. And then when you get further down in the history of the World's Fairs, it become political. So it kind of changes direction. But I think the early ones, they all had this similar theme with these buildings, and the buildings match. And like Joan was saying, she loves old style architecture. But really, if you think about it, these buildings seem out of place. Think about like your state's Capitol building. It doesn't seem like it fits, or Washington, D.C. It just looks foreign, and these people theorize, and I think it's more convincing than we just all really love Roman architecture, that this civilization existed long before us, and we're advanced, and we're in some way wiped out. And then that history has been erased. Thousands of years of history, maybe, erased. But yeah, it definitely needs a follow-up, and it leads into a whole lot of other things. Like what it reminded me a lot of, long time ago on Conspiracy Theories and Chill, we had a friend of the show on. I just went blank on his name, Tyler Klatnoff. Now, he completely left social media, so I don't know how to get in touch with him. But if I figure it out, I want to have him back on, because he was telling me about these mud floods. And it's fascinating. So it's hard to describe it without showing you a picture of what I'm talking about. So let me do this. These old style buildings, right? So look, that's a church. That's St. Mary Magdalene Church in Omaha, Nebraska in 1908. Okay? See that? Pay attention. Look at the door. Pay real close attention to the door. Now I'm going to show you the same church. After excavations. See, the door is now a window. That was ground level. Now, I know you've seen a lot of old buildings like this, where, see, that one's the same way, where the bottom level has different facade than the rest. And it seems to be, different colored even, or aged differently. Like there's many other examples of old buildings like that, with these bottoms like this. Look like it was built on top of something else. So what they're saying is, a long time ago, there were these mud floods where these were uncovered, these buildings. I just thought that was fascinating. That's something that Tyler was talking about, that a lot of this stuff may have been uncovered because of that. And then they hid it the best way they knew how to explain it. Samuel says, Satanists have to show the world what they're going to do. Fed the truth to the World's Fair and no one saw it. Today it's easier to see the truth, but still so many refuse. Yeah, they just put it right in front of your face, and just laugh at you. I think that's how I feel when I was making this, because you look at those buildings, like that glass structure, the Crystal Palace in the 1850 World's Fair. They claim that they built that in 9 months. It is enormous and very detailed. So, like I said in the video, you could have told me it took 3 times as long, and I'd still be like, well, how the hell did you do that? How is that even possible? Hey, Peyton. Nicole did the experiment. Snow didn't spark in the microwave, she said. She tried burning it and it melted. Where are you at, Nicole? What part of the country? Nicole said that there was snow that they tested in Colorado a few years ago that burned. You ever seen them do that with the processed cheese? It's creepy. It's like chemicals. It's all you're eating. Yeah, good thing. It could have ruined your microwave. like Ron was saying. It did have the aluminum in it. She's in Iowa. So you're pretty centralized. I'm talking on my ass. I don't know. I have no idea. Iowa. Joan says there are a lot of those old kinds of buildings in the cities around here, but they seem out of place, no? Don't you think? I mean, or is it just me? Like the Jefferson City Capitol building looks completely foreign. It just does not look like it belongs. Everything around it is completely different, like from another planet. This building looks. And then you think about the time that it was supposed to have been built, when they tell you they built it, and the technology that they had at that time. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine some of these were built when they say they were. To me, it's more logical and makes more sense that they were found structures. Like I said, tonight is rant night. And this is when we get our frustrations out and clear our heads of the useless clutter bogging our minds down. Now, I'm actually quite pissed about something real in my life. But like most of you, I have to work to support myself. And as a result, my expression is limited at times by those financial restraints. But as many people around the country are dealing with, my state is being hit with severe weather. And I ended up having to commit the cardinal sin in the world of the working man. I had to call in. I didn't feel safe to drive, so I called into work. Simple, right? Easy. No big deal. You'd think so, but no. I crossed a line of trust in their eyes. I stepped out of line. I forgot my role. I dared to put my own safety before their business needs. And I forgot my place. One day, like we were just talking about, I won't need that job. And on that day, I will get to regain my dignity. But until then, unfortunately, I am now in the uncomfortable spot we all find ourselves in at one time or another, where I'm forced by necessity to be somewhere that I no longer want to be. You see, I'm weird. I want to be treated as an asset, not as property. See, I don't feel that I belong to you. I work for you. You do not own me. And I'm also weird in another way. If you don't show me that you value my effort, I tend to not give it as freely. I know my own value. If you don't see it, that's on you, but let's not bullshit each other now that the truth has been exposed. I will do with that knowledge what I now see needs to be done, and I consider this experience a learning experience. There's something every boss needs to keep in mind, especially when dealing with a valuable employee. I was looking for a job when I found this one, and you're not the only gig in town. You know, I have been a boss. I've had 40 employees under me, so I know for a fact that it is possible to run a profitable business that does well, is competitive, and treat people with dignity at the same time. So what we're really discussing here is shitty people, unreasonable, selfish individuals who put their own wants and needs before everyone and everything else. These people all too often find their ways into positions of authority and always abuse it when they do. But in the end, they get what they deserve. It's unfortunate, and the real message here is know your own value and don't accept anything less. And don't let people treat you as an object they can just use up and discard on a whim. And I feel offended by the way I was treated, but in the end, that offense is my own fault. I attributed traits to someone that didn't deserve them, and when the truth was shown to me, it hurt because of my own misconceptions. Now I understand. And in other bullshit, House Democrats are trying to make sure no one remembers former President Donald Trump. With a new bill they're introducing that doesn't mention Trump's name, but is clearly aimed at him, a collection of Democratic House members are looking to block any twice impeached president from pretty much any recognition on federal land. And that includes barring federal funds from going towards building a dedicated highway, park, subway, federal building, military installment, street, or any other federal property in Trump's name, twice impeached president, as well as preventing that president's burial at Arlington National Cemetery. The former presidents usually get a good number of perks once they leave office, including receiving a pension and funding to pay for assistance. But this bill would also strip any twice impeached president of all of that, save for Secret Service protection. Federal funds couldn't be used to create or rededicate monuments or buildings to Trump, or go to any state that intends to use those funds to do so. And this bill is called the No Glory for Hate Act. Now, this is madness. And honestly, anyone that signs on to this bill should have their competence to hold office seriously questioned. This is just a further attempt to demonize Donald Trump. Are we removing war criminals with this No Glory for Hate Act? What about individuals that bombed more people than any other president? Is killing not an act of hate? Get the fuck out of here with this nonsense. I don't give a rat's ass what your personal opinion of Trump is. If you think he's any worse than our past collection of presidents, then you're beyond brainwashed. Personally, I feel he's better than most past presidents, and this is exactly what he is calling it, a witch hunt. That's all they intend to do, is keep selling Donald Trump as their boogeyman. And this behavior by establishment Dems is irrational and deeply disturbing. Now, these are public servants who need to get their ass to work serving the public, not wasting taxpayer resources on nonsense. And in other public servants who have lost their damn minds news, Ted Cruz went on a Cancun vacation while his state suffers a major power crisis amidst dangerous temperatures. Proving he gives not one single fuck about his constituents, Ted Chubby Wolverine Cruz flew off to Cancun as his state dealt with a power crisis because Ted is rich and powerful and in the big club that you and I are not in, and this should come as a shock to absolutely no one. Ted Cruz or any politician, I don't care who, does not give a single thought to us poors. They do not care about us at all. And they get away with it every day because instead of paying attention to the mountains of evidence that they exploit the American people at every opportunity and milk their citizens dry, these moronic sheep listen instead to the pretty lies that fall from their lips. And let's be honest, it's not the politicians. It's not the elite Luciferian monsters. Our real enemy is the willfully ignorant masses. These brain-dead mouth breathers that walk aimlessly through life, believing only what they are told to and ignoring everything else. If these dumbasses that have gotten us into this spot, because you and I, we're not shocked that Ted Cruz doesn't care his supporters are suffering. We know he's got lobbyist money to spend and a tan to think about. Hell, it's fucking cold in Texas, and he has the means to escape it because we fucking gave it to him. And we can just as easily take it away. But these dumbasses would rather stare stupidly every time one of these rich assholes shows you they don't care about you. Yes, Ted Cruz jets off to Mexico as people suffer. And yes, Nancy Pelosi has gotten rich as shit at the expense of her state as well. All of these paid actors, they do not represent you. They are stuffed suits that only represent the moneyed interest, and they are out for themselves. So yes, Ted Cruz sucks, but they all do. Every one of them. Right? All. NWA needs to make a new song about politicians. in the same vein as their police theme. Right? I'm not saying anything good or bad about him, Nissa. Like I said, your personal opinion about him doesn't matter. What's going on is ridiculous. Is that how you want your taxpayer funds used? For witch hunts against someone that's no longer in office? Kentucky in the house. How you doing? Good to see more people came in while I was ranting and venting my frustrations. But that's some of the stuff that I picked out to talk about. There is more, and we're going to get into it, but I wanted to check in with you guys. Ron says he calls in just to test him. That's almost how you got to be, right? Because that's what happened to me. I cared too much and got my feelings hurt. But, oh well. Yeah. She's a very well-paid actress. That's what she is an actress. They're putting on a show. It's theater. Now, are you in Texas now and from Kentucky, or you just love Texas? Right, Lee? I can't believe people are shocked. That's what throws me off. You know, Mitch McConnell in Kentucky, that boggles my mind how he has stayed in office for so long and how rich he's gotten at the expense of these people. And they just keep voting for him. So they don't pay any attention to what he does, just what he says. Wow. Yes. The Perseverance rover has landed on Mars. A new rover. There's a new rover on Mars, y'all. There's live footage today of them landing it on Mars. It was some of the best CGI you could ever wish to see. It might even be CGI, but it was probably filmed in the desert. There's nothing on Mars. Nothing we put there. It's ridiculous. Ron wants to rant on how dumb people are still wearing masks and falling for this horse shit. Dude, they're falling for wearing two now. I saw my first double masker out in real life. Yeah, I thought these people only existed on television, but I saw one. And I was amazed. This is crazy. Double masking now. It's unbelievable. I don't know how they've gotten this to go on for as long as it has. I happen to be forced to wear one every day at my job, and I see no end in sight for this stupid shit. The masking is so dumb. It's not to prevent a virus. Like, look, they're even saying it now with implying you need a double and triple mask, that the mask is not effective. That's what they're really saying. But yeah, it's dumb and dumb and dumber and dumb. They don't care. And I just never thought I'd see anyone actually doing it. I thought it would just be something I saw the shills on TV trying to push, but no, people are doing it. You know, my favorite is the ones that wear the mask when they're driving in the car by themselves. Why? What are you doing that for? Right, they're saying 3. Some of these people are saying 3 now. Fauci's saying 2, but there's some organizations are saying 3. No, we're going the wrong direction. It's 0. You're supposed to wear 0 masks. Let's go the other way. You're going the wrong way. It's madness where you're heading. What? Is that really what they said? That wouldn't even surprise me. I don't know if she's joking or not, but she was saying apparently, according to the BLM spokesman, reparations are now kicks in a big screen. That wouldn't even surprise me. I don't even know if that's a joke, because BLM is a joke. And they're a misleading organization, basically a terrorist organization. They don't have positive intentions for the Black community. They are not what they call themselves or what they may have started out as. But that wouldn't surprise me, because that's the kind of bullshit they do. They talk out of both sides of their mouth too. They're not trying to empower the Black community. Right? Yes. Look, I wish she was making this up. Bill Gates is a supervillain. I'm not even being comical at this point. And he's buying up all the farmland. He's buying up everything he can, getting as much power and influence as he possibly can purchase. And yes, he wants to block out the sun. It's like fucking Mr. Burns. Spiritual as in woke? Spiritual woke. Okay. Well, that would kind of depend on who you're talking about too. But again, probably yes. My answer would be yes, as far as most. The authentic people stand out. I think you can tell them. But a lot of people just call themselves that, or I feel. Yes, support this channel. There's many ways to do that in the description. Multiple ways, including sweet ass t-shirts. I love t-shirts. I collect t-shirts, so it was important to me that we have nice t-shirts. I wanted to break in and hang out with you guys for just a minute, because this is a week in review. This is a look back on the past week of the Sean Yankee Show. So every single bit of this is a replay. I know that some people sometimes think it's live. I did make a banner. Let me ask you what you guys think of this. Would this be distracting if this was playing at the bottom while we watch? Because I think people sometimes get mad once they realize they're not at a live feed. And I've seen it happen. So I don't know. I don't know if that's distracting or not. It might be better to have that down there and going, so people know that this is a look back on the past week of highlights of the show. And that's what we do on Saturday nights for as long as we can. There were shenanigans this time. I almost didn't get tonight done. It was a photo finish. Really, it finished saving like 10 minutes before the live. And it's because they're shutting down the ability to convert the YouTube videos. And Facebook's eliminating the ability to download them. So the two different ways that I used to get them, they're being cut off. So I don't know how much longer we'll be able to do this, because well, I can always get a copy of the stream from StreamYard, and we can do it that way. I didn't even think of that till just now. Kind of clicked in my head. All right. This is well, right now I'm live. I'm here. We watched this together. I've been hanging out in the comment section and watching it with you guys. And I'm going to break in after we play back Ty. But next is coming up Ty Nightfall. Furious George is who was actually on. But we're going to have a conversation with Ty. And then I'm going to come back after and hang out with you. We watch the Week in Review every Saturday night. It's a replay of highlights of the past week on the show. You love the notification, so you know. Okay, it's no big deal to put it up, and as long as it's not distracting, because it would just be at the bottom all the time, and that way people know they're watching a replay. Well, it is and it isn't, I guess. Like people get, because it's an interactive show. I get it. I get being upset when you think you're at a live feed and you're not, because you're not, your comments are not being put up on the screen, and no one's interacting with you, and you're not even seeing the comments that are being on the screen. So none of it makes sense to you. I understand it could be frustrating, but you know, and it looks like a live feed. So they got to kind of feel tricked, I guess. And I don't know. Work harder. All right. I thought I was doing a lot, but okay. All right. Well, like I said, coming up next is a conversation that we had with Ty. And I am really excited to get to watch it because I did the watch party last night, but I was so wore out because of personal things going on, just emotionally wore out, that I just passed out. I passed out during the watch party, and I didn't even get to see it back. So during the interview, I am involved in the conversation as well as paying attention to your comments and trying to put some on the screen and interact with you as much as possible during the interview. So I don't get to pay as much attention as I wish I could. So I like watching it back with you guys. And since I missed the watch party, this will be my first chance to do that. But this is a favorite guest of mine. I love having Ty on, and I love watching Ty's feeds. Actually, it's very entertaining and always a great guest. So I'm excited to watch this back. But anybody that you know might want to see this, didn't see it, invite them, share this out, and get it out. But we're gonna watch this, and then I'll be back after to hang out and wrap up and talk to whoever's still here. So this is the week in review. We're gonna watch Friday Night with Ty Nightball. Here we go. Ty is our special guest tonight, and well, looks like I'm using the wrong name. I just saw it's Furious George that's coming on, but I'm going to get us ready and bring him in. So without any further ado.
Hello.
Hey, I'm sorry about all that.
That's all me. I was delayed and I was being very ab-foul. Like, sorry I'm late, darling. Sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm late. You know. So
Fashionably late.
Fashionably late. You know, that's what I say. You can't show up ugly. You just have to show up fashionable. So
that's right. You're right on time, though. As soon as you get here, it's right on time.
Yeah, I'm glad to know. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to have you. I have a great time every time you're here.
Yeah. I hope so. That's the plan here. If you're not having fun, why bother? So
right.
You know, kind of casual. Oh, just kind of random menthol, you know.
Oh, okay. I got excited. I have empty pipes.
Oh,
I know, sad times.
I'm not supposed to be. I'm just because why not? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Given this year and the previous year, like I don't. Why not? Really?
Right.
So,
it's the dumbest thing I do, but I do it too.
At least we know. At least we're not naive to what we're doing. So, because a lot of people are, you know, they don't, you know, they're like, oh, well, it'll stave off, we'll catch it off, but no, it'll eventually catch up with you. So,
yeah,
you know, they really will.
Well, everybody is really excited to see you too, and I'm glad to have you.
Yes, so, thank you.
What's been going on?
Everything. Change of life dynamics and just like it's radical change all the time. So. But I'm learning to like take it as lessons now. I'm not taking everything as a personal slight anymore. So it's been the biggest change.
Being more introspective and learning about yourself.
Yeah. You know, fighting less. You know, I love my fights and all that, my arguing, but you got to move beyond it. You know, you got to have a purpose, something to do.
Right.
You know, so I wasn't engaged with a lot of like love aspects of myself previously, and now I got 2 boyfriends, so it's weird, and it's a poly thing, and it's complicated, but it works, and it's just weird that it happened at a time when we're not supposed to be contacting people, and that's when you contact the most real people. I like that.
That is good. I have so many questions about that. That's crazy. The jealousy, I would think, would be off the charts, but how does that work?
Interestingly enough, that's our number one question. It's like, well, these are all self-actualized people, so they're not controlling. You know what I mean? Like, they don't control their spouse. Their spouses are extensions of them, but they don't complete them. Because, you know, a lot of people fall in love thinking that like another person is going to complete them, and so they control that person, like who they can talk to, where they can go, and like we know what our feelings are, you know, to each other, independently of each other. So what this person is providing that we're not providing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be afraid if a stray girl wandered into this house, babies would shank her. Just if she was here on accident. There was no way.
It's to each their own. So it's not even like a bad or good thing. It's just some people like that. Some people are turned on by it. Like a lot of they're turned on by their partner with other people. So and they like sharing, and they're kind of into that. So it just depends on whatever floats your boat.
3 people would connect in the same way at the same time like that. Isn't that crazy?
Weird, but for different reasons. Like we don't provide the same thing to each other. So that's what's interesting. It's almost like a weird group dynamic. The energy is just very interesting, but it melds, but only because we're self-actualized. We don't, and we're apolitical and all that. It's like once you drop all the bullshit, and then you're like, oh, okay, you're actually just people. You're not caricatures of people. You know what I mean? Which is what most people are now. They're like cartoon versions of people. So
yes.
Especially the people they deem villains. They think villains are all like Thanos and Darkseid and stuff, and they're not. That's who they're trying to attack. You know, like we need to go get them. Like, no, that's not how this is. It's mostly us.
Yeah.
It's mostly us being stupid. It's not really people doing things to us, you know? So
stupidity is a huge part of it. Willful ignorance as well.
Mm-hmm. Willful ignorance. That's mostly it. And pretend knowledge. Because we get a lot of people that pretend to know.
We were just talking about that the other day, how the term woke has been taken over.
Oh, it's terrible.
Now means something completely different.
It was terrible when they first came out. We never used it. We never called ourselves woke.
No, but I had this little morning show, and I had a catchphrase for it, a tagline, a morning show for the woke. I thought it was cute.
It is.
I'm so old. Like, you could see out of touch I am. Right away, everybody started telling me that word is bullshit. I'm like, it's catchy.
It's fine, but you know, you can't please everybody. So what are you gonna do?
And I'm pleading naivete on this one. I'm just out of the loop. I didn't know. I had no idea they'd taken it over.
Well, they take over everything, and most of the terms we use were created by them anyway, like truther and all these other things. So we just go by research. We just go by researchers mostly because that's what it is. You're just researching. That's all.
I always like the term that whatever everybody's going to understand right away. Like, I got told a long time ago that I should not call myself a conspiracy theorist, but everybody knows what I'm talking about right away.
Exactly.
You know, it cuts through the bullshit.
Yeah, and it's like there's no reason not to take pride in that because it's just a slang term against us. And I'm like, oh, I don't care. You can call me that all day. If I call myself
a researcher, in 5 minutes they're going to label me a conspiracy
theorist anyway. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's like, oh, I'm a conspiracy about what? The things that were proven in congressional records? Wow, you got me there.
We can address it.
You don't have to feel bad about it because it's there in record. They just didn't read it. That's all I was saying. They don't read anything. So that's our number one problem. Yeah, that's the only way you can do it. It's like you don't have to tell them they're like, you don't have to be like condescending or inflammatory or, you know what I mean, or hyper sensationalized or anything. You just have to go, well, here's what the congressional record says. So I don't know what to tell you, but that's what they put. We're just quoting their own record back to them. That's all it is. That's all we're doing.
And there's so many things that they would think you're crazy that you could do that with, and they just refuse to look at it.
And they wonder why the conspiracy theories only exist because why? We don't have full disclosure. So if we don't have full disclosure, by definition, you're making us fill in the gaps. You're causing that problem on purpose. So. Right. They can't be mad at us for making up things when they won't give us the information. We've asked them to do so, and they won't do it. And then when the information's found out, they're like, oh, sorry, maybe there are aliens. Like, they just oopsie doodles. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like they just feign ignorance. They're not. People think they're stupid. That's what's funny. They're not stupid. They're feigning ignorance. They're pretending not to know things. That's really what it is. Because the alternative is what? Wickedness. So that's why they're not going to do that. They're not going to be outright wicked. They're just going to pretend like they're ignorant. Oh, I didn't know that. Who? What virus? What are you talking about? Halliburton? Who? I don't know who that is. Is that a rapper? I don't know who that is, sweetie.
Right.
You know, they just act stupid about it. So I think that's what people didn't get about Bush too. They thought he was actually dumb. I'm like, no, dude, he's pretending to be dumb. That's the whole problem. So, because that's why
Trump was dumb too.
Yeah, and that's why they got away with things, because people just underestimated them. You're like, oh, right. See, they like to play. What is that? Sun Tzu's Art of War: appear weak when you are strong, and then reverse: appear strong when you are weak. So, a lot of Art of Wars come up a lot today. It's come up a lot, especially when it comes to double spies. People that, you know, we think are evil but might be good, and some people we think are good that might be evil. Good times. That book really came in handy. It really did.
It does. Often I find myself looking back at quotes from Sun Tzu.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Actually, everything came up. Everything did. All the people that warned us came up. We were worried about whether it was Huxley or Orwell, and it's actually both. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, they were
even
writing each other about it.
Mm-hmm. And their fundamental
notes and
they had a fundamental disagreement.
Going to get it right, and it was a melding of the two. They were both right.
They were both right. Isn't that funny? That's a good plan. That's a pretty good fucking good plan there. So, and then you muddle them so much you can't even tell. Good stuff. They really worked hard on that. They really did. So
Zuckerberg makes a good point about what social media does do. They don't. He says they don't pretend to know things. He pays people to make what he says factual.
Ooh, good one. Why would you do it when you can pay me to pretend to do it for you?
It's kind of true, though. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They just put out what they want, their information, and then they promote that and make it the fact.
Which is now legal.
Whatever the population believes is what ends up being true to them.
Yep. It's legal
all they got to do is
for your government to do that.
Average sheep. He's right.
It's fun. And we can set
Sarah's also right. Sharing is caring. Ron would tell you that.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah Williams. Yeah,
I had to put up some comments and involve the people because everybody's excited that you're here, and we've been looking forward to it.
Fashion darlings, good to see you. It's been a long week. Let me just tell you, a long week. So
there were a lot of really interesting costumes lately that you've been wearing. There was one the other day. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like 20s style. It was very elaborate.
Was it pink? What color was it? Do you remember?
I think it was pink. And then but the wig was blonde, and it was like that 20s style hairdo.
Was it a bob? Was it that blonde bob
yes,
with the red dress?
That was yes.
Yeah.
I'm messing up the colors, but I'm red green colorblind, so I mess colors up all the time.
That's fine.
But yeah, no, I just imagine your closet being like the size of my bedroom.
It is. It is. I have an overflow.
How long did it take to build up like the collection of a wardrobe like that?
About 10, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. I've always been a costumer since I was like 13, so it's just that
I make a lot of stuff too, right?
I make most of it, and then a lot of it's just I just mix and match and buy and use stuff, and then people give me a lot of stuff too. They're like, "Oh, this can't be used," and then I use it specifically for a production, and they're like, "Oh, I remember when I gave him that jacket." I'm like, "Oh, you could have used any of this, you just didn't." So anything can be used, really. So you got to use what you have when you're poor, you know. That's just what it is. So I mean, it's a big buildup, but since entertainment's been collapsed, we're kind of just hanging out. So I just dress up every day because what else is there to do with this shit? So
yeah, I had someone arguing with me the other day because as far as comedy goes, it's kind of shut down now too.
Of course it is.
And they were trying to argue with me that entertainment is thriving. I'm like, where?
For who?
In what way? How?
It's thriving for rich people. Yeah.
Performance dance in the streets in New York now to keep culture alive. Just to do random performance dances, you can get a permit.
Right.
You got to stand 6 feet apart.
Of course.
But you can.
That's why we don't even bother with the bars anymore because it's like you can't be in groups. So you can't have go-go's, you can't
have
touch
a
each
crowd
other.
anywhere. Even Dave Chappelle had to do a special with people like, 10 feet apart from each other outside in a big field. So it's impossible. I don't know where they're seeing, because I was talking about how a lot of people are being crippled by all this. And they're like, no, there's plenty of places. They'll defend it, no matter what, because the TV didn't tell them.
Indeed. And so, and they don't work in the field, so they have no idea. They're mostly people that don't work in the field. Those of us that work in it know what's going on. So it's clearly, but it doesn't collapse for like Tom Hanks. It just collapse for the rest of us. That
right.
But what it is it's a $1 trillion industry. So it can't just go away. You have to provide somebody. Like that's millions upon millions of people's jobs that are gone. So I don't know what people are thinking that's gonna. But the whole point is that they don't want you to have culture and art. Artists are keeping you guys alive. They don't want you to have artists because then you might break out. Like, that's the whole problem. Because people don't remember the politicians of all these times. They remember the artists of those times. That's the whole issue. So the artists have to be specifically removed. That's entirely the point. So,
and that is a good way of saying it because it's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Eliminating it.
Mm-hmm. Especially places like us that are dive bars that bring people together. They don't want you doing social gatherings because then you might meet other people. They don't want you to meet other people. They need to control the means of communication. That's the whole problem. And people think they're going to do all this other stuff. No, until you get communication settled, you can't do anything else. And that's why the big tech fight is the only real fight at this moment, because if they control the access, nothing else you do matters. Because they're telling you who you can access and why. And you can't prevent them from doing it. So the only way you can do it is if you, I guess, sue them by slander, libel, and defamation. That's the only way, because they can't just defame you just because they don't like what you're saying, like they did Robert Kennedy, and that's why he's probably going to win his lawsuits. But to like actually get a platform that succeeds, they're not controlling, that's decentralized, is going to take a long time. It's going to take a minute. Okay.
Right.
So,
well, they own it all. They own everything, all the avenues for information.
We can still use it though. So it's not that we can't use it. It's just that we have to know its limitation. You know what I mean? It's limited. Everything is limited. So they know what we're going to do already. So we can't outplan them. They already know. So it's just a matter of how do we use it productively? Because, yeah, as you said, they're going to control all of it, and they're going to infiltrate it from the very beginning and do all that. But clearly it still works, so we wouldn't be here. Clearly we can still use it. So it's just about how we use it. So most people have an ideology attack for these people. And I'm like, they don't have an ideology. This is all tactical based. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're just setting up traps to see if you'll fall for it. That's just really what it is. So,
right.
But we're backing them into a corner. That's why they're acting this way. It's exactly why they are. So,
and Riley brings up a good point. Like it's when certain topics will come up, they'll cut you. And I've noticed when a certain, and I don't ever even say anything positive about it. When a certain letter of the alphabet comes up, I get a correction hit on YouTube every time. Why? Every time I even reference it, I call it a psyop.
Yeah.
They still put the Wikipedia correction under the video and everything just because the word came up.
Yeah, the word triggers it. So I don't even say them in my cast. The thing that shall not be named, like the person that shall not, it's just one of those because you don't want to trigger it, But this was our warning from the beginning. If we can't speak the truth openly, we're going to have to learn how to speak it in code. We're just going to have to. So it's been done years before. How do you think the Masons got their power in the first place? Codes. That's secret societies. So we're going to speak code. If we want to be here, the alt tech sites still exist. And you can still post there. It's just nobody's really there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Bailiff tells me all the time I need to learn how to follow the rules. Or manipulate them, which is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, indeed. But a lot of it is right. Follow the rules. Like law is very straightforward if you know how to read it. It's all based on contracts. Your rights can only be enforced through contract. So that's really what it is. It's entirely consent based. Now they manipulate and coerce that consent, which means it's not an authentic consent. But if you don't know that from the beginning, then you're going to keep falling for their traps like that. You know what I mean? It's word magic. That's essentially what law is. It's word magic. So they just kind of manipulate you into giving up your sovereignty for them. You know what I mean? You're giving it to them for them to use. So, and that's the hardest part for people to realize is that they're doing it. They think somebody's doing it to them, and they're not really doing it to you. You're doing it. It's just that they're manipulating you into it, manufacturing your consent into it. That's really what it is. So it's very hard. It's very hard because psychopaths don't, they'll tell you anything. They'll tell you truth, lies, whatever works. So we're trying to fight them with like an ideological base. Oh, they won't go here or they won't do this. They will. They will do that. They have no conscience at all. Everything's a means to an end. Everything. Your desires, your hatred, all of it.
They try to give them characteristics that they don't share with you. You don't think like you.
Yeah, they don't think, but they do share all the same kind of thing. Like we all have narcissistic parts, and we all have that. It's just theirs is amplified to the max. And then people try to work on destroying these people, and I'm like, no. There's millions of psychopaths, millions and millions and millions of them. They're all CEOs. That's how you get those jobs. They actually care about the resources and how things work and how they're distributed and how they're disposed and how they cost and what they're made of and where they're located. They care about all those details, and we don't. So because they care about it, they get to dictate how those things function. That's the downside of choosing dependence. That's the downside of it, unfortunately. So we did it to ourselves, really. We really did consent to it, guys. We really did. So
it's true.
That's the sad part. It doesn't mean you can't have a government or anything. It just means it can't be a centralized power grab from 13 satanic families, you know? That's all. That's all it is, really. So.
Right. Masquerading. It's all theater, you know. Once you realize it,
all the world's a stage. All the world is a stage. All of it. But a lot of people are late, and we're like, they're late. Remember, I think we said this last time. Like, we're out of the theater, and there's still people like showing up, parking their cars, and like, we're gonna see. We're like, oh, this show's been over for 2 hours. I don't know why you're a little late, honey. You're a little late. Curtain call was 7. I don't know where you're at, but yeah, that's crazy. It's okay. You can't save everybody. A lot of friends, I'm still getting floods of people. If you're like, I just realized we can't save everyone. Yeah, honey, we love you. We love our friends and family. We don't wish them ill will or anything like that. It's just we know they're not coming. They're on the Titanic and they're asking why we're on the lifeboats. We're like, you're still on that ship? Do you see that you're literally sinking into the ocean right now? They're just standing there.
Crazy for being on a lifeboat, getting off.
And we're already off. We're bit off. We've bit off. Bye. See you later. What are you doing over there? What are you doing? So crazy.
I worry a lot about them too, but you're right. There's only so much you can do. You've tried and tried and tried, and you couldn't get through.
And also, you're planting seeds, of course, but also you can't help people that don't want help. Like if we try to help them against their will, that's invalidating their sovereignty. That means we don't think that they're smart enough to do it on their own. That's underestimating our fellow brothers and sisters there. So we have to understand that. Like our means, just because we want to help doesn't mean that's the right or moral action. So sometimes people just have to hit that brick wall themselves and go, okay. It's also why a lot of people rant on Facebook like this, is because they don't really need advice or anything. They just need to hear themselves say it and work through it in their mind out loud. It's venting. You know, that's how we work. So it's a mental thing. People mostly just need to know they were heard. They don't really need advice. They just need to be heard and acknowledge that people heard them. And then they can work through it on their own. They really can. So.
Ron says, let them drown.
Yep, they choose it. It's their choice. They have free will. If they believe in free will, then they believe in it. So we're choosing not to. So clearly it's a choice. Because if we're choosing not to drown and they're choosing to drown, what does that tell you? You know? So it is heartbreaking though, darling. That's why you should don't hate your enemies. You should never hate your enemies. It ruins your judgment, darling. So
yeah, I agree. You should more understand them, and then you can learn their motives, learn what they're doing till you learn how to best defend against it and even launch an opposition to it. Unless you get stuck up in emotions, you're just stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck on hate and blame, which is useless.
Yeah, and anger serves a purpose for them, but not for. If it's not controlled, you know what I mean? Because they purposely antagonize.
Stick aside, but a lot of these people will fight to defend the system,
even as it destroys them. Even as it destroys them, they will. Yep. I mean, I don't think it will be as big of a faction as we think, but it still will be there. There will always be those people that were not meant to make it. They were never meant to. This just wasn't their life cycle to get it. You know, they didn't get it this time. Oopsie doodles, like, you know. So, I mean, the fact that we're still here is miraculous. Like, I mean, when I thought Clinton was going to win, and I was like, oh, I'm in FEMA Camp 4. I'm ready to go. Like, we were there. We already had the mindset of a jumpsuit. We were already there, ready to do it. So the fact that we're still here, we're like, something's watching us, apparently. So
it does feel like we're on borrowed time, though.
Yep. We're just the newest incarnation, whatever the fuck this show is called. That's all it is. We're just picking. That's all it is. And the children have to pick up after us, and then they won't relate to us at all, and they'll be like, "Yeah, well, we tried to tell you." just as our parents tried to tell us, and we didn't care what they said either. It's the same cycle all over again. So I don't mind that. I like it. We grow each time. So
well, what is something that we could get into and kick around that's been on your mind? Right now, we've been talking about the thing I think we've been talking always, like the last 3 months has been about how it's all spiraling down into something frightening to me anyway. So I was kind of wondering what else is going on. You were talking about you've been working on yourself, and how does that go? What are you doing to do that?
Well, a lot of things that probably some of it X-rated, of course, but a lot of it is just like, you know, being in a new relationship and kind of like working that out and because I haven't really had this kind of dynamic before, and it's just very interesting as you learn about a lot about your own behavior and how you communicate with other people and how to reason things once you don't understand something or something isn't, and also just not taking everything as a personal slight against you or your character, not feeling judged or shamed or guilty for not noting.
I'm trying to work on myself.
It's hard. It's hard.
And then develop a thicker skin too.
Exactly. And he teases me a lot and then critiques me a lot, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, why are people doing that? No, but it's like, what is he saying? Why is he saying it? As opposed to just taking an offense to it. Like, why is that being said? He's just noticing my behavior. He's not saying it's wrong. He's just noticing it and then pointing it out to me. And I'm like, okay. So it helps you kind of reason more. You know what I mean? You think instead of react. That's really what the main thing is now.
That's what I need to do more of, and try to get more disciplined about. You know, I make an effort to, but my temper gets me sometimes.
You don't call me Furious George for nothing.
Right.
There's a reason for it. But I'm becoming more Furious George these days. So that's nice. I'm enjoying it. I think it's because I needed that. That was an aspect of my part of myself that was missing, was that kind of love relationship kind of partner, you know, that was there. Yeah. So because I had everything else. I already knew career-wise what I was going to do, whatever. I was already ready to do that, clearly. But without that, I was kind of becoming, you know, isolated in my own crap. So it's nice to have somebody regularly there to be like, hey, you're full of crap. I'm like, oh, thank you. Humble yourself a bit, you know. So,
well, I guess I already have that then. Babels is brutally honest.
That's what you want.
I call my wife. We have the same nickname for each other. We both call each other Babels. It's like a word we made up. But yeah, she's brutally honest. So I guess I need to listen to her more.
Yeah, work with each other more. You know, it's just one of those. I'm not really sure because it's different relationships for different people. You know, so I don't want everyone to think there's one way to do this. There really isn't. So it's just like whatever. But you do have to be. It is. They are independent people. Because I mean, some of the people that like them don't understand how we work, but a lot of them that like them just want them as like a completion of themselves. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's why. That's not attractive. It's desperation.
Right.
There's a lot of desperate is not the same thing as like attractive, you know, or like lustful or anything. It's not like, it's just desperate. And we're like, yeah, they want a partner thinking it's going to do something for them. And they have to already be on that path themselves. And then you'll meet somebody that kind of works with that path along the way. So. And they were accident. It was completely on accident.
Actually,
it was because it was both on accident, and then it just kind of happened. It just started as something very casual, and then, but this is what we were talking about because he was on my cast yesterday. We did Love and War, Finding Love Through War, because we have a good friend of ours named Helena Summer, who's also a great live caster, and she's a refugee from the Yugoslavian war from the 90s, and she walked from the bombs and all that to like a nunnery or something. She's an amazing story. But she was saying even as the bombs were falling off, the kids were still playing. So never give up. She's a love therapist now, happier than ever, just preaching sunshine all day. And I'm like, yep, so you can survive. And it was all because it was just there's you should be creating and having fun and doing all that. And people forgot about that because entertainment's gone. So now they're just used to bad news every day instead of like fun and like your family and barbecues, and you know, not all of that was just bread and circuses. A lot of that had profound, you know, impacts on people's lives. So
right, and that negativity, it goes back to something you said earlier. That is something people are doing to themselves actually, because they've done scientific studies that people respond to negative information better. So they want ratings, they want views. They're giving you what you want.
We're mimetic, and we as you said, we follow patterns, and the strongest one is negative over positive. But they really, people follow results. They follow the result of an action. So if somebody takes a negative result and it receives a positive reaction, they'll take that action. So it's just really about what the result is. It's just negative fear and intimidation. So it's easier and quicker, as opposed to the lengthy process of creating dialogue. So creation always takes time, and destruction is easy. And the cabals are the destroyers, and we're the creators. That's why we don't take revenge or do anything else. We just create ad nauseum. Every time they destroy something, we create something else. That's it. That's all we do. So people really want us to destroy. They're like, use your knowledge to destroy people. No, because then we view them. That's why we're not them. We allow you to fail. We allow you to do it yourself. We're doing it ourselves, so you do it yourself. Take personal responsibility. Be a sovereign. A lot of people say they want to be sovereigns until they have to speak the truth or apologize or anything like that. But like, that's the real reality of it. So you are really on your own there. You can still work with people and have alliances, but at the end of the day, it is you responsible for yourself. That's really what it is. Hard lesson, because I don't like it either. It's not that I like it. I'm just telling you it's true. So,
well, we preach that every Tuesday. You have to take responsibility for yourself. It does all begin with you. That's key.
It's the key. And
it's really all you can affect. If you work on, and it's not like I've said before, it's not selfish, because it's going to benefit everybody around you. Strengthen your inner core and yourself. You're going to be a better person, and you're going to have better interactions with everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What was that meme I saw the other day? It was the best way to stop hurting another person is to stop hurting yourself. I really like that a lot, because that's why you hurt other people. Because most people's lashing out is projection.
True.
Accusations are usually admissions of guilt most of the time. It's just self stuff that people don't work on, and they just project it outward. It usually is. I know that's true for most of us.
Psychology a lot.
I do. And also neurolinguistic programming, psychopathy, all that. So
neurolinguistic. Whoa, what is that?
Words and phrases and things, and how to speak and tone and all that matters.
Study of words.
Mm-hmm. Kind of the study of like how like programmable.
Now some people say that words are spells. Like
yes.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a controlling language, using language in a very specifically controlled way. So you can program people with certain words. It's kind of how hypnotism works and all that. So MK Ultra stuff. Yeah, isn't that crazy? And it's all about language. It's language manipulation. That's why we all speak English, but nobody really understands why we do. And I'm like, because it's a barter language. That's why it doesn't express thought well. So everybody speaks it because it's a barter language. It's just like a basic get this stuff, trade your stuff, and then move on. It's like a port language. You know what I mean? So that's what's funny about it. And then so like we're trying to use that as our main thing because it constricts actual speech and thought. And that's why we have to use our hands so much, because that was our original language of this continent was sign language. That was our original language.
Oh, really?
Yes. Everything was taught in reverse. As you said, we just watched your great video earlier. It was great. They're like, what if all these places were actually designed to tell you the exact opposite? They were. His story, history. That's exactly what they did. They controlled all the faucets of it from the very beginning. I watched part of it, yeah. And that's been the main problem for everyone to understand, is that they wrote everything in reverse. They told you the African slave trade happened. They did not bring us here. We were already here. We were already here. That's the funny thing. They wrote everything in reverse. They're like, oh, we created this at the World's Fair. No, all those things were already there. The Smithsonian was created by who? Nobody knows. Interesting, huh? And they control all of those things. Isn't that interesting? Caves and where bones went and why there's no giants and anything. Isn't that interesting? Huh? Just weird. Just questions is all. That's all it is. Nobody checks, though. They don't check. They just believe these institutions on face value. They don't know where they came from, who funded them, who owns them, what they're doing. No idea. No idea at all. Isn't that amazing? And then they blame them for what they do to them later. I'm like, no. This is entirely your fault for not caring. Entirely your fault. So.
It is crazy. I'm glad you got to see it, because that shit blew me away. Every time I looked at one of these older World's Fairs, because that won a poll. We always pick the topic with a poll. Mm-hmm. And somebody added it in. It was actually added, and it won. So I had to look into it. And when I started looking at it, because I never did before, and I'm like, they're all the same. All these architecture. For
weird,
older World Fairs.
Yeah.
And then they just want to tell you they built all this intricate stuff in ridiculously short amounts of time to just tear down. Why?
Weird, huh?
Yeah.
And then it makes you ask questions about everything, like how the Edwardians all of a sudden had machines out of nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just questions. That's all. Just questions.
Well,
just
that I even left out of the video because there would be huge amounts, huge dumps of technology at all these world fairs.
Weird.
Yeah. Super weird.
No, nobody knows. Nobody knows how. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting. But that's how you know people don't ask questions. They just don't ask questions. And that's why the WikiLeaks thing was so bad for everybody, is because they couldn't, it wasn't like they disproved it. They just ignored that it happened. And we were like, but you didn't, like, everything that they posted was all the conspiracy stuff that everybody said. Nobody sued them. Nobody still has. Nobody's contested anything that was put there at all, in any way.
The only one that suffered is Julian Assange.
But isn't that amazing for the crowd to, like, go, okay, well, none of these things have been debunked or sued or anything, but they're also referencing aliens and weird shit and clones and a whole bunch of shit that everybody's like, oh, that's not real. Bigfoot and a whole bunch. Nope, just ignore that. Like, but clearly it's right there. They're telling you it's right there. I don't know. And this is why they can't pardon him, because if they do, all of that comes out simultaneously. That's terrible. That's the worst decision you could do. It's the absolute worst decision. You know how people are acting during this virus. You leave them to learn about child trafficking, pedophilia, clone. You want to learn all of that at the same time? That's a very bad idea. That's a very bad. There's a reason why we're doing it slowly. There's a reason, because you can't just bombard people with shit like, especially in the state that they're in right now. That's a very bad idea. Very bad. Make them angry and they will act stupid. You know they will. So we have to be cautious. This is why we have to be very tactical. If we put these people in a corner, the cabal in a corner, they will come. They have a scorched earth policy. They will take all of you down with them. If they don't get to use the toys, they'll break them. So we have to be very cautious with that. We have to be able to keep the toys intact while entrapping them so that they can't do anything to get out of it. You know what I mean? It's all about entrapment. You can't just get them. You have to entrap them. Because that's how they get us. That's how you get them. That's exactly how. So I hate the game too. The game is obnoxious, isn't it? It's just detail oriented all day, and it's very frustrating.
It's incredibly frustrating.
This is why we're the rabbit hole, everyone. We're the information desk down here, trapped in the rabbit hole.
Do you see there was a nice piece from the New York Times today about how you should not critically think anymore? You should get all your information from the media. And it was titled, "Don't Go Down the Rabbit Hole." Yeah,
I saw it. Isn't that great? They're being open. Yeah, they're being open right to your face now.
Please stop thinking.
Right to your face. And then they're demanding that you challenge them. They're like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do now? They love it. They love it, darling. They're completely losing. The facade is shattered. And it keeps shattering. Every action they take, and then Wall Street fucked up, and then everybody just keep doing it over and over and over again. And we're like, wow. The impeachment, all of it. The shield is just fallen off of them, and everybody sees who they are now. That's the best part.
They're acting crazy.
They'll get worse
as a result. When you see it, because so many people, as you're saying, are pulling away from it, and once you're starting to see it, it's insane the way they act.
They're throwing people to us. This is what happened the first time in March, the deluge of truthers. We all started blowing up out of nowhere because everyone was just like, oh, they have something. They got it. They called it. They know what's going on. And people were just done. They were just done with it. And the more hostile they act, the more they push people to us. It's also like when they ban and censor, those people get more and more popular because you censored them. That's all it does. All it does. It just makes it that much more popular. So that was also Orwell's warning too. He's like, you can't censor people because it will make them more popular. It will by definition.
It gives you validation too.
It does. It completely validates you.
Makes people want to seek you out. There is no such thing as bad publicity. So you start being like, well, no, we have to shut Lynn Wood up. Now I want to know who Lynn Wood is.
Because they didn't know before. Yep, there you go. That's exactly it. There's no way to avoid it. There's no way. Every choice has a consequence. Some people just think only certain choices do. No, every choice has a consequence. Every single one. That you just have to weigh the pros and cons of that. So it's fun. It's fun to learn in real time, isn't it? It's how law works too. People are like, but how come all these lawsuits didn't work? I'm like, because we filed them incorrectly. But then we learned how we filed them incorrectly. Now we're going to refile them again. That's how we do it. I mean, that's just how litigations work. So They're not going to just go down. They're going to try to defend themselves. So we have to just be better than that. we have to expect them to try, So
Right.
Because they already know what we're going to do anyway. So it's not like we're going to catch them off guard. They know.
But everybody always wants an easy answer,
Always. And that's why they don't get it. And they never will. You never get it. It's waiting. It's just patience the whole time. And we wait for a correct opportunity to strike, and then we do. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So it's the law of attraction, not the law of assertion. So people they can just assert it into existence. They have to wait for the time to do so. The situation and sequence will align to do things. That's exactly how the cabal works. So they really have to do anything. They just incite us to do it. Like they'll set a spark and then we do the rest. So
patience is hard, though. That's another thing I need to master.
It's the most underrated value. That's the one I tell everyone to focus on the most. And everyone's like, well, what is our action? What do we need to do? We need to be doing more. No. There's nothing for you to do. If we're all dependent, as we are on all the things that we're dependent on, the only thing to do is to wait. We have to wait. We have to take notes. We have to archive, and we have to database. That's what we have to do. That's really what's within our power as the group that connects all these people together. We're the ones doing it. So we have to be that base. We have to make sure that when people fall, they don't fall into the systematic abyss of time, that we can catch them. You know what I mean? That's kind of the problem.
Way of putting it.
That's the only thing livecasters should be doing. We're not supposed to be dispelling other groups of people that we don't like Q people. That's not a goal of it. It doesn't help anyone. You know what I mean? The goal is to connect as many people as possible because we're still looking for each other. We're not done. It's not like we got everybody and we're ready to go. We're still looking for people now at this moment. So people need to focus on that still, especially because we're being stopped from doing it. So what should that tell you? We're being specifically prevented from connecting to other groups, which means we need to specifically do that. That's exactly what we should be doing. So, because otherwise we'll be trapped in our own echo chambers forever. You know what I mean? Just reinforcing our own bullshit. So,
right. And that's no way to be. I'm going to keep plugging away. That's what I've been doing. Even though it's hostile territory, I'm on I have to be on the sister channel on YouTube right now because one more strike and then they wipe all the videos.
So
I went over the other one to wait it out. But I've been moving my videos to Rumble though, because they don't.
Good.
It seems to be a safer place to keep them. I'm still going to put them on YouTube though, because I want to get them out to where anybody would see them.
Yeah,
that's what
you should. Use YouTube until they get rid of you, and then Rumble's great, and it is the replacement, and YouTube is very mad about it. And there's fights legally between the alt tech sites and the main tech sites for this reason, and they're intense. They're very intense. That's why Parlay's back. So because there's shit going on in the background. There's really
crazy
shit.
What happened to Parlay?
It's amazing. Well, Parlay kind of fucked it up themselves too. Not like by having the platform, but how they in their lawsuit against Google, they kind of fucked it up in their charges and claims. Yeah, a little bit. They should have stuck to more of like a breach of contract more than like the thing that they were focused on, which was more of like an ideology thing. And I'm like, that doesn't really work in law. Like you just need to, they don't care. Like, litigate. Right. It's about what you can prove legally. It's not about like we know that they hate conservatives, but that's not a legal claim. You know what I mean? So, right. But yeah, they did. But that's what the whole point is, that we know why they were targeted. We know specifically why, and there's no like talking or rationalizing out of it. Parlay was basically removed because it hurt liberal establishment's feelings. That's all. That's the only reason. It didn't host anything. It didn't do anything that Twitter or anybody else did. It's just that it didn't kick off conservatives. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. So, and we can't have that. We can't have alternate opinions. So
these mistakes, though, that are made in these lawsuits, how much of these could be accidental? Just
mostly.
You think mostly?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everyone followed Dr. Pam Popper on YouTube. She's the one doing a lot of these litigations, seeing why a lot of the lawsuits that we filed in the past don't work. And it's because we filed incorrectly on minor things and things like that, especially when it comes to things like the virus that shall not be named. We're trying to file. Well, we're trying to file constitutional stuff, and we can't do that because the Constitution has been suspended by emergency powers. So now what we have to do is file to prove that this is an emergency, and then we can file about constitutional breaches. You see what I mean? Like it's that nuanced. It's that nuanced. Word magic. So
now I remember, because I don't know much about law. I haven't studied it like you, but when I was going through my divorce, I would sit in my lawyer's office and I was in awe at his law books. And that's what they've done, is just overcomplicated the shit out of it so that they can nitpick and get most things just dismissed on a technicality. What it sounds like to me anyway, as a layperson.
Kind of, but also it's that we don't value law, but we also have a society based on it. And that's kind of the problem, because they've made us not value contracts. And so because we don't value contracts, the contracts that we sign, we don't know about or care about until it comes time to pay the dues for those contracts. So that's the issue. Like, that's what they say, nothing's free. There is no free lunch. Like, they're like, oh, YouTube and all this is free. No, you're the product. There is no free. So that's the whole thing. We just have it in our mind that it is. No, nothing's provided to us. That's not how that works. Not without a cost. So the first rule of economics. The first rule of economics is there are no solutions, only trade-offs. You trade one thing off for another. That's the very first rule. So we have to get over these notions of utopia and, like, rhetoric and just and generic platitudes, emotional platitudes. As you were talking about earlier, a lot of things are emotional platitudes. They're not. People don't know the difference between an emotional claim and an empirical claim, and that's really the main concern there. It's not that they're diametrically opposed or separate. It's just that they think they're the same all the time, and they're not. Sometimes emotion is just emotion. It doesn't really have anything to do with, you know what I mean, like the actual claims you're making. So it's just how you feel about those claims. That took me a long time, because when I was staunch neoliberal back in the day, all of that was emotions. There was no, I didn't actually know the topics I was mad about. I was just yelling about them as if I had studied them, but I hadn't, So
this is a good question that you may have a better answer to than me. I would just think it's because of the unregulation that they've been under since the 80s. But she was asking, how do they get away with the people that these jabs hurt or maim and all the things that happen? They look up incidences of cases, but how do they get away with it?
Well, they said even before they released it that they're not held liable for it, for any side effects that come out. That was the first thing. But then secondly, also they can make you get it, possibly via the 14th Amendment, because we traded up our sovereignty for dependence on the welfare state, which makes you a ward of the state legally. So therefore, you're too incompetent to decide for yourself whether or not you can or cannot do that. That's the downside of the welfare state.
Is that why the NFL's talking about the use of stadiums for inoculations and why they would want 600 million doses for a population of 332 million?
Correct, because and of course the NFL is just just like World Wrestling or anything else, it's staged. We've had whistleblowers in the football in football teams that are like, no, this is all theatrical. It's pre-scripted from the very beginning. We sign a full disclosure contract, just like entertainment artists do, that says the things that are going on behind the scenes aren't going on. Bread and circuses. Bread and circuses all day. We love it.
Oh yeah.
We love it. Give them stadiums. They love it. They love it. They really do. They're really into it. You see, they're playing through our desire. It's not just that they're evil. No, we want that. We want it. And we're giving into that desire. There you go. That's it. That's it. Hedonism.
Something Ryan was saying about, she says we sign contracts for everything, don't even know what we're signing. They're so long and complicated. And then the other thing I came to my mind while you were talking was these user agreements that we've been so conditioned with that no one reads. Have those been training and conditioning us to further ignore contracts and details of things
through
like
convenience,
that and just give our trust willingly?
For convenience, just as that's what we do for everything. That's why we smoke in the first place. Nobody was smoking before a certain time. It's just they bring it. They give you things in times of crisis or convenience, and then they acquiesce to the things you need. And because we're not producing it, right? We're not producing it, but we need it. Therefore, somebody has to produce it. So then that's how they get you. They get you through the things that you need that you will not take responsibility for. That's exactly how they get us. And there's no way the only way to avoid that is to be is to be independent from them on that. If you can make your own clothes, you don't have to be entirely independent, obviously. You work as a community. But if you're a centralized corporate mass, then you can't really do anything. You don't have a say. You see what I'm saying? You don't have a say if you're a mass entity. That drowns out the possibility of individualism entirely.
Right.
So, and that's where innovation is coming from, is individuals. It's not coming from groups, it's coming from individuals. So there's no balance there. They don't want individuals though, because then that might challenge the dynamic of control. So, as we all know. So it's just a never-ending battle there. But the contracts matter. They matter. The birth certificates, the things you saw, your signature. You got to know what you're signing. You got to know. You got to know where these things come from, not just that they're there, but where they come from and who designed them. So
I know I'm guilty of it.
I was too the whole time. That's why I was forced to study law, because I was like, oh, I'm not paying attention to anything. I'm not. I thought this was a government. It's actually a U.S. corporation that has usurped your government since 1871. This is crazy. But we're not supposed to know those things. We're not supposed to know that. But it explains all of the shitty things that happen in this system, because it's not an actual government. It's a corporation pretending to be a government. It's a de facto. It's a de facto government. That's exactly what it is. It always has been. Always. The entire time. So, and the only ones that opposed it died on the Titanic, ironically. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
I don't even think it was the Titanic. I think it was the Olympic.
Yeah, the sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sister ship. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. That whole deal. Yeah.
It was an insurance fraud and scam as well.
Mm-hmm.
As well as taking out some opposition to the global agenda.
As many birds with as many stones as possible. You know how they are. Yeah. So everything serves multiple functions with them. So yeah, it was a very good plan, though, wasn't it? It worked. It clearly worked. Then they rushed that bill through right then and just eliminated your government real quick. Real quick. In the dead of night. Like it was like a Christmas Eve and like winter. Like it was ridiculous. So and by the time it happened, it was too late by the time it happened. Especially when we got the Fed, which was too late by then. It was like they did it. So and then they tricked us to give it in our gold, and then tricked us off our land and did all that. So slowly over contract. They use contracts to do it, and the labels that we use, like white and black and Indian. These are slave titles, and we're identifying them as them, and so therefore we are chattel, because that's what those mean. So, oopsie doodles. That's what they mean legally. I mean, but when I point that out on TikTok or usually on Facebook or somewhere else, I'm blocked or banned immediately. I'm like, I didn't say anything. I'm literally quoting your own history back to you. This is in the census records. It's congressional. Like this is where it all came from. Georgia House Resolution 1203, a whole bunch of shit. Here it is. It just tells you what all these things mean, and nobody reads it. We're like, I don't know what to tell you, but you did sign it. You have to know what you're saying when you say it. You have to know what words are, the epistemology of words. That's why we use things like citizen, but nobody knows what citizen means. They're always like, our civil rights. Our civil rights. Civil comes from civitas, meaning permissions granted by the state that can be revoked at any time. That's literally what it means. And then they're like, they revoked it. Yes, which is what civil means. They can't give you rights. You already have them. They can't give you anything. They don't have the capacity to do that. That's the whole funny part. So people are waiting for permission to get rights. That's not how rights work. So you can't convince any dark-skinned person on the left of that at all, though. They think we're like crazy lunatics for stating that. I don't need permission from people to have my, you know what I mean? I don't. I really don't. I just don't at all. So they'll get over it when it's them. Do you notice they're complaining on Twitter? Have you seen it? Ooh, they're mad now because now that censorship stuff that they support is coming for them.
Well, why would they think it wouldn't? I was saying that the whole time. Like, they will eventually get around to you.
Mm-hmm. And then I had to answer the main question, which has confused a lot of people, which is why did they go after the left or the right wing first then? And I'm like, for a very simple reason. The right wing is already constitutional and already armed, so they already hate the government. So they have to be taken down first, and that way, when they take down the liberals, nobody can defend them. See the plan? That's the plan. That's the plan. Play both ends against the middle. It's called 3-card Monty. Oldest trick in the book. Oldest trick in the book. Walk away with the spoils. Fantastic, huh? This is what I mean. They care. They actually care more about us than we do. They do. They care about our mannerisms, our behaviors. They care about it deeply. That's how they're able to manipulate it. So maybe we should care.
We should.
It's not about whether or not we believe that. We don't have to believe in astrology or Satan or anything. But we have to understand one thing. They believe in it. So that's really the only thing that matters. So that's really
I say that all the time. It doesn't matter. It's inconsequential that you don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
That agenda is being used against you because they deeply do.
They deeply do. Deeply. So there's really nothing to say there other than just accept what people when they tell you who they are. So you know what I mean? It's some of that is so damaging and like we can't even process that we just dismiss it being true. That's why it's so hard to tell them about the deep, deep, dark stuff. It was because that's too much. In our cute little quaint propriety society, we don't, you know what I mean? They don't realize the colonial secrets that took to get to this point. So,
Right.
And that are still there. They never went away. They think the black market like mysteriously disappeared or something. No, it's still there. It's legal. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's bigger than ever. I don't know where people. I mean, it's not like just because we're kicked off of mainstream platforms that all internet is gone. No, there's still the deep web and the dark. We're still around. We're just not on mainstream surface web. That's all it is. So we'll adapt. We've done it before. We can do it again, or we'll have to survive. We don't really have a choice. So it's not really an option. So.
Now I need to learn law. I almost went and went to college for that. I wanted to be a lawyer. Long time ago.
You don't have to go to college for that. No, you don't need a degree or anything. It's about laws like like natural law principles, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, gender. These are all. It's more important that you know the natural principles because that's what constitutional principles are based off of. But it's natural law principles, and you know what law is. Like you know what nature is. The laws of nature. So like that is what law comes from. So and the cabal is against nature. They're against the natural law. That's what it is. That's why their system works this way, because it's against those principles. It's exactly against all those things. So and that's why they inevitably will fail. Evil at the end, evil always destroys itself. It always does. You don't have to defeat the villain, they always defeat themselves. They always do. They have to. It's their nature. So you know what I mean? Once you've given into that, you're stuck there. That's what they mean when they say when you join them, you can't come back because then there is no getting out. You're with them till the end once you do it. You know, there's a certain line you can cross and then you're there. So that's the sad part.
It is. Diane says taking the time to read contracts and break them down is tedious but important.
It's very important. Or don't sign them or just figure it out. But it's not like you have to go to school and do all these things. A lot of that's it's not about the paperwork. It's about the understanding what sovereignty is and acting as that. Because it's not like a status. Sovereignty, it's a mode of operation. It's a way of being. You are a sovereign. You know what I mean? You don't identify as that. You are a sovereign being. So that's how you behave. So by definition, you know what people can or cannot do to you. Because a lot of that legalese is like, oh, it leads with presumption, like we're going to do this, and but if you're sovereign, you know whether or not they can do that, even by proposing it. It's one of those. You know what I mean? You already know they can't do a certain thing. You already know they can't. They're just trying to see if you know it. Yeah, they're magicians. They're magicians with an empty hand, and you have to call their bluff. That's really what it is. That's how they work. So that's why the Bible says it. Beware the magicians, and they shall burn in the lake that runs with fire, darling. That's why. That's exactly why. So. Beware. I take esoteric terms much more seriously now that I understand allegory. So that took a while. Liberals are very stubborn with that. Liberals are very stubborn when it comes to allegory in literature. So they take everything as literal. That's what they're objecting to. They're objecting to the literal right wing, the people that take the Bible literally. We're like, that's not a very large fraction of people. A lot of us understand what allegory is in esoteric terms. So we get it. There's a history, obviously. So they just don't see the value of it.
Myself.
It's hard. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. That's why I can't stand when people say they're bored.
This guy Chuck Misler, he broke it down with science and all these other things. Very fascinating. But Genesis alone was like 32 hours worth of videos. I was like, I can't sit through this, but I really want to understand it.
There's a lot.
I tried to read it. I don't know why it doesn't seem to hold my attention.
Well, maybe it's just a different mode of learning. That's as you say, I learn a different way too through all different kinds of stuff. I couldn't read Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. That's not going to happen. That book was 5,000 pages long. But I did listen to the audiobook of Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, and I got through it. It took 6.5 hours, and so I was broken that up through 2 weeks. But it did happen. And then I was
I have a version of the Bible read by James Earl Jones.
Nice.
And I didn't finish it.
Oh, really?
Darth Vader, man. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on how you're done.
I know when I'm hearing it and when I'm reading it that this needs to be broken down and analyzed.
Yeah.
This is not something to read like a story. You need to look at each line and understand it. So that's why I keep coming back to it. I'm like, no, I got to look at it different. So I never get through it.
Yeah, and it is kind of like a guidebook in that way. It's like a text guidebook. So,
but I love hearing and I also found that I like reading scripture because I've been reading the book of Enoch for an audiobook just to mess around with doing that. And then also read some scripture for different videos, and I like it. It's fascinating. I like reading it.
It's fun. I read a lot of the Sumerian texts from
Sumerian texts,
or at least listen to a lot of the analysis on that. It's vipertv.com, viper.tv.com, or on YouTube, all capital letters, and they go into like detailed, like 2-hour-long videos of like certain texts that talk about like the beginning of time and how the planets got here and the gods and who made which god and how the gods manipulated monkeys into this and to do that. So it's just like but it's Sumerian from even like the first like one of the first civilizations. They already knew how everything happened and said it. So very interesting.
Fascinating to listen to.
Very interesting stuff. So I try to link all that. I try to link everything together, and you can't. We're supposed to become more paranoid. That's why they hate paranoia, but we're supposed to do that. We're finding links between things that are seemingly unconnected. So they call paranoia. So that's why they don't like when you're paranoid, because then you can link things, because they want everything to be separate so that they can maintain the illusion. When nothing is separate, everything is related. Everything is. Every topic. Hence why all the researchers of different conspiracy theorists now all merge together, because it's all that is controlled by the same people. Right. Isn't that funny? So we were bound to come together at some point. So that's just really what it was. So but we didn't realize how many of us there were. We thought we were only have. I was like, oh, if we even wake up 3.5% of the population, I'll be stunned. But we got more than 5%, which means that it's just a matter of time now. It's inevitable.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like 5% is way more than we need to overthrow these people. Like they're done. They're absolutely done. It's
we could get the unity part right.
Indeed, it's going to take a long time. Like this is not going to be something we're just going to solve. It's going to take the entirety of our lives to do it. But they are running scared now. They realize that their time is at an end. So now they're just trying to stave off the inevitable. But we're the Borg. Resistance is futile. They're only delaying it. That's all they're doing. They're just delaying it. But we have four more moves and we can put them in checkmate. So
I like your way of looking at that. They're on the ropes as well.
They wouldn't be acting like this. If they were winning, why would they be acting like this? I don't think they are.
They're losing their grip.
And of course, people were like, well, how do you know that? Like, because how would they have all these dark people? You don't think there's no one working on us on the inside? Of course there is. Just because they're not loud and boisterous like the dark side doesn't mean they're not there. Otherwise, we wouldn't have whistleblowers in the first place. Clearly, somebody's doing something. If there's an opposite to all these people, obviously, or we wouldn't still be here. We just wouldn't. They would have already won and there'd be no problem here. Clearly, there's always going to be resistance. It's just that it's not working the way we think it should work. It just works the way it does. Welcome to creation. we don't get to control the creation. We just create it. That's all. So.
Right on. Well, that's what we're doing. And that's what we'll continue to do.
You gotta fight. Constant vigilance, everyone. Constant. Every day. But we're not fighting with other people. We're mostly just trying to, learn ourselves. Forgive ourselves and other people it's okay that we were all manipulated and destroyed and all that by all these people, but we have to forgive ourselves and move on. And we don't have to honor their contracts. Since all those contracts were given to us without full disclosure, they are null and void. But if you don't know that, you can't challenge them. So you have to understand what you signed, what you agreed to, what the cost of your dependence on these people is. And if you want to continue advocating for it, because that's really where the rest of us can't be independent if the rest of you choose dependence, because then you'll keep us from becoming independent. That's the whole problem, is that they want us like as a monolith. So they're not just going to let us be independent and then let you be dependent. They're not going to do that. Right. So it's either we're all independent or we're all slaves. That's the only way the system works. So
that's our role, is
freedom,
is increasing our awakening of the people and dropping their hold over the narrative and their hold over society. That's how we will win. You're right. And it's a great way of looking at it. But I think all the time that we have a common enemy. If we would unite against, there's enough of us already.
Oh yeah.
If we could learn to unite, come together. That's the thing we need to figure out now.
And not be consumers, but producers again. Because we don't produce anything. So we need to stop consuming from everyone and start learning trades and crafts and using our arts and all that, because we've been doing that for thousands of years and been fine. We can still do that. There's a way for everyone to be productive. That's why I hate when people tell me they're bored. I'm like, you can't be bored. Only slaves are bored. There's too much to do. There's way too much to do for you to be bored. Way too much. Right. Way too much, honey. So
I keep myself pretty busy. I like to stay busy.
Yeah. Idle hands of the devil's workshop. And I'm telling you that as a gigantic whore. So, I mean, you get horny if you don't do stuff. So you got to you can't just be playing with yourself all day, people. You got to get something done. You got to learn a craft or something. You got to do something. So
I got to stay busy. I get in trouble. I'm too busy to be in trouble.
Right? Too busy. Too busy to be political. Too busy. So
I got too much going on. So I don't want to wrap up, but I got to get up early for work, and it's getting to be that time that I have to say goodbye to you. But I really appreciate you doing this and coming on the show and hanging out.
Yes, thank you. We'll have to do it again. I definitely have to keep track of comedy and stuff. We're going to have a lot more comedy stuff.
Yes. And you know what? I was talking about that because you had mentioned doing something like that, a comedy type segment. We got to nail that down.
Mm-hmm.
To do that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna message you about that and get in touch with you about that. That would be neat. I was thinking about that ever since you said it and brought it up. That would be fun to do.
Because it's rare to talk with other people in actual entertainment. I'm like, oh, I forgot there's other entertainers. Where are you all at? Because everybody I know just has regular jobs. So they have no idea about the history of our artistry or anything. We're like, I can't even talk.
It'd be really cool.
So
I wanted to do that too. So that'd be neat. I'm gonna get with you about that.
Nice.
But yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you all. I'll see you all very soon. Okay.
You have a great night.
You too. Bye. Toodles.
All right. So who's still with me? I'm surprised I'm still with us. But that was the week in review. We do that on Saturday nights. We watch back highlights of the week and hang out. And that's our Saturday night. And then new episodes of the Sean Yankee Show every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. But looks like Ginger's still here. And you stay busy too. I like to be busy. I really do. I prefer it. I always find things for myself to do. I can't stand to be sitting still without something going on. My mind needs to be occupied. Hey, Joan. All right. So that's cool. Some people still here. I'm actually awake. Some of you know I had some drama in my professional life, and they changed my hours. So I no longer get up at 3:30 in the morning. I get to sleep till 5 a.m. So I'm rested. I feel a little better. You'd be surprised how much that hour and a half, what a difference that makes. Ginger said no clue what boredom is. Yeah, I even feel guilty sometimes. Like today I was wore out because I've just been mentally exhausted at work because I just feel offended by the way I was treated, and it just drains me to be there. I'm too emotional, way too emotional. I really need to work on that a lot and develop a thicker skin. I take things way too personally, but it just emotionally weighed on me all day because I just don't want to be there. I'm just, real negative about it right now. So I'm trying to change that. And, but yeah, you're right. Everything happens for a reason, and it's unfortunate. I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was a pretty common thing and that there was good reason for it. But it was a difference of opinion on that regard. 4:15. I tend to wake up at 5 if I don't have an alarm set, So this actually, as far as waking up, works out better. I prefer getting off earlier. So I'm a little bummed out about that. But I only have to work like an extra hour later. So Y'all hear my kids screaming in there? I think they're fighting. I don't know what's going on. I may have to go check that out pretty soon. Yeah. It takes a lot out of you, whether mentally or physically. It just really does. I feel like I do. I feel like I do. I'm upset by it. Yeah. I definitely do need to go find out what's going on in there. It's getting pretty loud. But thanks for hanging out at the weekend review, guys. And like I said, come back Monday night for a brand new episode of the Sean Yankee Show. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you later.